All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Bracket Up. My name is Andy Jerrick, and the premise of this podcast is pretty simple. Myself and a bunch of my best friends are creating interesting brackets in which we will rank and determine winners of various mundane topics. Today's topic is maybe not so mundane, one that all of us hold near and dear to our hearts. It's the best 90s cartoon. Now, today we're doing things a little bit differently. We didn't create a 64-person bracket or a 32-person bracket. We all decided to pick one specific cartoon that we love the most, and we're going to defend in arguments against other people. We still, as you can see, threw the 6 of these into a bracket. So 6 cartoons, 6 people on the show, only 5 total matchups. I love it. It's great. I'll go ahead.
Royale of cartoons.
Exactly. I'll go ahead and introduce everybody on the Zoom chat like usual. Next to me is the Mr. Zoom himself, Andy Mysuck. Andy, you're watching the Bears. I see. Is that a Khalil Mack jersey?
No, it's Lance Briggs.
Oh, okay. That's good too. How are you doing?
Every player I buy either retires or leaves the team the year after I buy the jersey. I have a Howard jersey. I have a Peppers jersey.
Could you get a Trubisky, please?
My dad just bought one, and I told him he's going to regret that by week 4 when Foles is the starting quarterback.
I hope he does. I really hope he does.
But see, I'm in a different location, but I brought Buzzwole with me.
I like
going to be in the background.
I think you've been in this location before.
Yeah, the last time I was in this location, I was celebrating a Hawks win, and like a week later, they were eliminated. So let's hope the Bears fare better.
Yeah, I feel like Buzzwole is like the mascot on the podcast now.
Yeah, sorry, Dave.
I grew on him.
Dave grew from being mascot to co-host.
Speaking of Dave, right underneath me, Big Bear, Dave Holloway. How are you today, Dave? Are you watching football?
No, I'm not. I'm not watching football. A shark got me into City Pop, so that's the new thing for me.
Okay, that's a lot of words that I don't understand.
Oh.
All right, next to Dave is Billy White Shoes Johnson. How are you, Bill?
I'm really good. How are you, Andy?
I'm fantastic. The White Shoes thing popped a couple of you, I see. Julian snorted. For some reason, when Bill used to come over to my house, my dad always called him White Shoes because it just so happened that the shoes he was wearing were clean and white.
Yeah.
Like me.
Also, it's like a really old football player.
Yeah, I guess it was a real guy like in the 60s or something.
And it was like a reference neither of us even hoped for.
My dad
That should be Bill's catchphrase, clean and white.
So white and so clean.
Oh, nice. I like that.
All right. Underneath Bill is King Julian Griffin. Julian, it's good to see you. This was your idea today, and I like this little change in our style.
Oh, thank you. I got it off of a YouTube show that I actually really, really like, and I figured everybody else would really like it too, arguing about cartoons and shit. So hopefully have fun with that.
That's awesome. If this goes really well, I'm sure we'll see it reappear in the future.
Oh, I'm hoping it's going really, really well. I really hope so.
I'm sure it will. We can't mess anything up on Bracket Up. We're too good. And then next to Julian is Greek Lightning Tom Kairos. Tom, it's good to see you back. I know you're a last-minute addition here, but I like seeing your face today.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think the last time was the not the Pokemon episode, but the one
Cereal mascots.
Cereal mascots. That's right.
Waffalo Bill.
And he decided to come back. That is impressive. All right. So, any other housekeeping things before we get started?
I'm not watching football right now.
Good to know. I like you changed your name.
That's okay. Bears are about to tie it up.
Okay, was it 2-2?
3-. Boy, the way the Bears play, maybe, but no, it's 3-3. That's good.
All right. So before we get started, you guys can see the bracket. The very first matchup is Rocco's Modern Life against Hey Arnold. So Rocco's Modern Life is Tom's cartoon, and Hey Arnold is Julian's cartoon. So they're going to each talk for maybe a couple minutes or so, or whenever kind of the proof starts dwindling. and kind of argue against each other why we think one is better than the other. And after that's been completed, everybody else, other than those two, will take a vote as to which one is the better cartoon. As you can see, it could be a tie, so we might have to get significant others involved, possibly not, but we will see as that goes.
Anyone significant other home right now?
Yeah, Meredith is about to eat
I could if
soup.
needed.
Okay, so we got
some. Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah.
Because I know you said Jordan wasn't home. Kelly's not home either.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got a few. That'll work. Well, Tom, you're up first, I guess, against Hey Arnold. So let's hear about Rocco.
Well, they could argue at the same. I mean,
Sure.
It's an argument.
I think we should give him an opening. So take maybe a 1-minute opener about why you think Rocco's Modern Life is the best.
Let's do like a full 10-minute speech.
Oh God!
I hope you took
1 minute,
notes,
10
Tom.
minutes, whatever, so I can
Put me on
destroy
the
it.
spot.
That's the whole point.
Put me on the spot. Well, that was one that I was actually considering. So I was like, Andy mentioned I'm kind of a late addition. So when other Andy brought this up to me and he said, which one would you pick? That is actually one I was considering. But then when he told me who had what already, it's like, oh shit, I have to think of something else. So there was a few that I went through my head, but I'm like, which one has an actual chance of making it possibly further? So I went with this one because I just think that, for its time, and especially being a Nick, it was kind of like saucy and had a lot of adult innuendos about it throughout its series, and it's getting a reboot pretty soon, I think, on Netflix, if I remember correctly. It had the reboot, right?
It did have the reboot.
Yeah.
It had like a movie.
It had the reboot. So I always like both of these, but I particularly liked Rocco's as well. I just thought it was different for the time and thought it was like a good foray into a little bit more adult kind of humor for Nickelodeon, especially back then, because I know they were all about child-friendly stuff and all that good stuff. So I think that's why it's a little bit better for now. But that's my opener, so I'll save everything else until we get further along.
Okay. So it's my turn now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess. Right. I don't know.
Go on, Julian. Do your thing.
Oh, calling me out. Okay.
Yeah.
I chose Hey Arnold because that's always been my favorite Nickelodeon show, because it not only is it funny, but it also teaches kids a lot about life in general. Because on Nickelodeon Cartoon Network, you would see a lot of stuff that's like really fantastical and like superheroes, or it was like way too wacky. But this wasn't necessarily, it was a good mix of wacky, but it was also like, it was real stuff. It was about a kid growing up in New York or whatever city they were in. I think it was New York, somewhere like maybe out in Queens or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's based off of New York. And you had such a diverse group of people that you got to see them going through like real struggles and real problems. And I could relate to a lot of that. So that's why I chose Hey Arnold. That's my argument for right now, or opener.
All right, now fight.
Tom, you ain't shit. Honestly.
go
ahead. No, you go ahead.
The nicest argument I've ever heard.
I won't be so nice to you, Dave.
After you, kind sir.
I mean, I would argue both kind of did like that, and I would say Hey Arnold might have a little bit more, but they all did it in their own kind of way. I mean, there was like Ed, like Mr. Bighead, I think was the neighbor or stuff like that, and they all introduced kind of stuff that you would see in real life, albeit like in different ways. But I would say that at least again, I found Rocco's funnier than Hey Arnold personally, so that's why I thought it would be a little bit of a better choice. I think it has a lot more humor than what Hey Arnold has to offer. I think Hey Arnold was a little bit more serious, which that's fine, but what I value in terms of like being better, I think humor is really.
I mean, but with Hey Arnold, you had the full package. You can't tell me that every time that creepy ass kid was showing up behind Helga after she went off of her little thirst trap moment with Arnold, that she punched him in the face. That was hilarious to me. And then I also thought that like the biggest dude, what was his name?
Harold.
Harold, he would get his ass whooped by Helga. Helga had hands for everybody. And I thought that the episode, she had hands for everybody. I don't care who, you can put her up against Charizard, Goku, Saitama from One Punch Man. Helga got hands. I don't care, bar none. But I also thought, every time you watched Hey Arnold, you would walk away with a life lesson. Like you'd walk away with some type of life lesson. And it was funny. But when you're watching Rocko's Modern Life, it's like, I'm not expecting to learn anything from the fatheads, really. I'm not looking for Rocko or Heifer to teach me about how hard it is for immigration and stuff like that. There was a Chinese dude on Hey Arnold, and all he wanted to do was see his daughter. And that didn't break you up. That folded me up in like 8 places. Life lessons, man. Life lessons.
Just points of clarification. He was Korean or Vietnamese.
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 Even better. Nice save. Nice save.
So I corrected you with the wrong information. Thanks, Andy.
White and clean.
Here
White
for
and clean.
Well, I respect that, but also part of what I thought, picking my choice is like I'm also considering my audience, and I don't think life lessons is going to get you very far in this, especially with these other contenders that I don't think like Space Ghost Coast to Coast is teaching you like amazing life lessons that Hey Arnold is, and that's already in the semifinals. So
that raises a fair point, but you can't tell me that you haven't sat down and watched an episode of Hey Arnold. Every time Hey Arnold comes on, you're gonna sit down and watch it. I don't care who you are.
Well, Julian, so I'm a biased person, but I do want to ask you, what do you think then about something like Hey Arnold that's kind of not Rocko that's pushing the boundaries, especially with, they're talking about adultery, and then in the special that was a reboot, they're talking about transgender. I mean, that's teaching a lot of different things to kids that Hey Arnold didn't necessarily touch on.
Yeah, but you
or
also
adult themes.
Yeah, it's also an adult theme, but why would you think of Ren and Stimpy? Would you let your kids watch Ren and Stimpy?
I'm just saying it brings both to the table to help.
I'm saying, but as far as Rocko's Modern Life, it's a kid, like Nickelodeon's is a kids channel. It's for kids and stuff like that. And a lot of the stuff that they would talk about in Rocko's Modern Life, if I'm watching it as a kid, I know it would go over my head. To say now, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. But as a kid, I could easily relate to Hey Arnold a lot more than I could.
Well, on that same front, though, like
more.
Kids watch sometimes a lot of shows with adults, so the adults have to be captivated by it too. So I think an adult would be more interested in that potentially than something. As obviously, if the adult doesn't like it, they have the final say of changing it and stuff like that, and putting something else on potentially.
It's fair point.
I think something key with this topic, especially for us our age, is there's nostalgia with the 90s cartoons. So I was just wondering, for both of you, like, what are your favorite or most memorable episodes or moments even from each of these series? Like, what stands out the most to you about an episode of Hey Arnold that you remember?
The music, honestly. As far as like, what stuck out most to me, or what most pronounced to me, was just the music, because they had such a nice selection of jazz and stuff like that, and genuinely, like, it captivated me. And not to mention, it was just a really cool aesthetic, and it felt like you were really a part of the community, which is what I really, really liked. So, and also being able to like go into everybody else's story. So that's really just the entire atmosphere to me was like what I really liked about it. And that's where a lot of, if you were to go nostalgia, that's where it is for me. Just
Are there
the
any
atmosphere.
standout episodes for you?
Yes, I think the episode where he saved the turtle with his grandma, I thought that was dope. It didn't make sense because I don't think they could just sneak into a zoo and then take out a giant turtle and stuff like that. I'm like, how did no one see y'all? But I like that episode a whole lot. And then I like the one where he gets punked by the dude. Arnold gets punked by a dude, and then his grandma teaches him karate, and then he just beats somebody's ass for no reason because he's like looking for smoke. Yeah, it was a great episode. I also really like the fact that you always see people fight. Like, it's great.
Then how about for you, Tom?
So, for nostalgia purposes, I mean, both of these arguably have nostalgia purposes because I watched both of them pretty heavily as a kid. But again, like I mentioned, I was going to pick, that was one of my top contenders as well, and now I'm up against it. So it's kind of hard to argue against it personally. So I guess one of the things that sticks out for me, as I mentioned before, is just how different that it was. And I know this is going to sound a little hokey, but I actually related to the turtle a little bit growing up, because again, I was the nerdy kid and shy and awkward and all that stuff. So I guess that kind of like I related to it and empathized with it. And I know that was kind of sounds hokey and stupid to say, but it's true. But in terms of like memorable episodes, there's a few that, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen either of these, to be quite honest. So it's hard to rattle it off the top of my head. So there was a few, like I remember one where it's like he is working at a call center, and that and that like was an innuendo that it's like a hotline and a sex hotline and stuff like that. So that one always sticks out to me. And there's a few others as well, like where Pepper becomes he becomes a security guard, and there's like this whole obviously stuff behind that happens and all the shenanigans that happen there. But like, sorry. Yeah, I mean, both have their perks, but I guess arguably I would say this maybe edges out a little bit more in terms of, you know, I think there's a little bit more creativity behind it. I mean, Arnold is based on a lot of real life events, which is very true, but I think it's kind of neat to mold it in a way of different animals and stuff like that to illustrate different topics and cover different things that makes it a little bit more unique in that sense.
I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that as far as like art style. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know, for me, Rocko's Modern Life was a little bit corny at times. There was just certain parts that I didn't necessarily find too funny. And then I thought it was just very corny. I didn't like the music selection that they had. And then some of the voices were kind of annoying, like those two Gecko brothers. At first, I thought that they were funny. But then after like hearing them or every time that they would show up, it's kind of cringy for me. I don't know what it was about. So for me, the characters in Hey Arnold and the art style that it was definitely more toned down. For me, I like that a whole lot. I don't like things being like way, way too hokey. They can be fun, but that's just me.
Right. And everyone has a preference, which is totally fair.
No.
Yeah.
Fight.
All right. You know what? Here, just for Andy's sake, Tom, your selection is shit, and let me tell you why. It's just corny as fuck. The animals didn't make no goddamn sense. I got tired of listening to Mr. Fathead and Mrs. Fathead. I don't understand what's wrong with you. I think you need a better selection of television shows. Matter of fact, I should talk to your parents and ask them, why would you let Tom watch that nonsense? You happy, Andy?
Andy's all about the negativity.
Well, he is. He's always looking for smoke. Always looking for smoke.
Andy's always like, I like the worst topics, not the best topics.
They're so much more fun.
Tom, do you need a hug?
A little bit. I mean,
I didn't mean it.
My heart.
Boo! Don't puss out.
I mean, it's hard to like fight against them when they're.
Andy,
like,
can you put me and Tom in a breakout room so I can console him?
Yeah, hold on. Let me take care of that for you.
Zoom do that?
Yeah, they have breakout rooms.
Oh, they do? Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I had a question for you guys. But
okay.
What do you guys, because this one I'm kind of curious about. I have my own thoughts on it. What do you think these two cartoons kind of influenced moving forward, like either cartoons or other media that was influenced by?
I would say in some ways SpongeBob was, because Tom Kenny was the voice of Pepper.
Yeah.
And so I think SpongeBob kind of came from that a little bit. And I think it gave him the, you know, I mean, obviously I don't know the inner details behind the scenes, but I think that might have helped him wanting to push that, pose that idea to Nick and get his foot in the door, having more of a lead and overseeing something potentially. But
for the record, Steven Hillenberg also worked on Rocco, as well as several of the writers from SpongeBob also worked on Rocco.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Mm.
They're very similar vibes, if not the same kind of. They're kind of similar in a lot of ways.
I feel like you can feel the fingerprints of Rocco's Modern Life in a lot of Nickelodeon that came after it.
Oh yeah.
But what about Hey Arnold?
It's a bit of a reach. It would be a bit of a reach. I can think the one cartoon that I could say was kind of similar that may have had influence was Codename Kids Next Door, and that wasn't even Nickelodeon. I think that was Cartoon Network. And I just mean as far as like the strange heads. Like everybody's head was weird.
Yeah, when you mentioned Harold,
so like,
it was
like the actual animation. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and then I was actually even say like I guess maybe sort of Ed and Eddie. It's that childhood experience. It's really childhood experience heavy. So you could see that kind of sort of in Ed and Eddie, and then you could definitely see that in Codename Kids Next Door. But I would have to say as far as influence, then Rocco's Modern Life would have to have it beat. Because you see a lot of you see a lot of its seeds in other cartoons after it.
I could help you out here, Julian, because I helped Tom out. You could easily say that a show like As Told by Ginger got a lot of its realistic portrayal of school from Hey Arnold.
I forgot about that.
That's a super good show.
That's a really good show.
Just a quick aside, that show specifically had like different outfits for all the characters every episode because it was meant to be a realistic, like, hey, this is the life of these characters. Like, of course they have different.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let's all watch As Told by Ginger together, guys.
It's great.
It's actually a pretty good show. I didn't like it as a kid, but like as you get older, you're like, I appreciate what they did here.
Yeah, never heard of it.
Could see you like drinking like a glass of wine, Moscato and Ginger.
I think it premiered alongside
Ginger.
I think it premiered alongside Pelswick.
Underrated show.
No, overrated because it got on the air.
I liked it.
You should talk to Dom about Pelswick, Bill.
What the hell?
That's the one with the guy in the wheelchair, right?
Yeah. It's a show about a kid just in a wheelchair. Like that's the gimmick.
Cool. That's cool.
Oh, I did see
I liked it.
Yeah. I don't like the show, but like, hey, that's cool.
It's cool until they, there's no like message behind it. It's like, it's just a normal kid show, but this kid's in a wheelchair.
I just remember an episode where they were shitting on NSYNC by calling them NSYNC, and that's like the only thing I remember from that show.
Classic.
What's wrong with NSYNC, man? I like NSYNC. Fuck that show.
Talk to the people make Pelswick.
Fuck y'all. That's what I have to say.
Why did we start talking about Pelswick?
Because we were talking about As Told by Ginger.
Yeah.
You asked the question. But what have these cartoons influenced? It's your fault.
To be fair, neither of these influenced Pelswick.
Absolutely not.
Pelswick is its own entity.
All right, guys. Do we want to put this to a vote? I think that was a solid 15, 20 minutes.
I think I got it. I mean,
I don't.
Hold on.
Oh, you got to start the sucker.
Yeah. Whoopsie doodles.
This is not an official podcast now because we didn't
start it over.
Shit. I don't want to have to go in on Tom like that again. I'm sorry, man.
I put the blame on Andy, so you're good.
It's true.
Good. That's what the people want to see. Blood.
All right, Andy, since you're the bloodiest one.
No.
Which are you voting for?
I came in here with a biased opinion, and I don't know.
Motherfucker, just vote.
You gotta vote.
Andy.
You're not one of the two people that can't vote. You gotta vote.
I like to be first.
Andy, blood.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I think
make Andy go first.
Okay, no, yeah.
Yeah, make Andy go first.
Okay,
Andy, you're
I'll vote
going
for
first.
Rocco.
Okay.
I knew you were gonna do that shit.
I think it's a better show. I think Hey Arnold gets a little stale. Rocco feels more unique. I think it, like Tom said, it has more of a seed in what Nickelodeon is now. Hey Arnold, wow, boy, I love all the shows on here. It felt like Better Doug, and I'm just not a fan of Doug. So Better Doug it's not as good as Rocco. Also, Julian, you talked about how this show, like, oh man, it's got so many moral lessons. It's so good. And then it's like, oh, what are your favorites? Oh, the one where like people get smoked and throwing hands all day.
That taught him
He
good
also
lessons.
said the Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese.
That wasn't
episode.
his most memorable. His most memorable were him and his grandma on a wacky hijinks to save Eternal. I get better
And
wacky
that-
hijinks
you know what?
and Rocco.
And that was about saving nature.
conservation. Saving
That
nature.
was about doing something
Don't
nice
you care about the
for
turtle?
a tortured
You say that.
turtle.
You said it was like a wacky adventure. And then your other favorite was like, oh, hey, Arnold's getting picked on. So his grandma taught him to fucking throw hands.
But there was a
Taught him karate.
Stand up for
Gotta
yourself.
How to
yourself.
stand up for
Yeah.
himself, but at
Yeah.
the same
Through
time,
violence.
Have you seen the Karate Kid or the
you
new
know where
series,
they live.
the Cobra Kai?
Also, you were wrong. It's based on Seattle.
Is it really?
Yes.
Is it really based on Seattle?
Huh.
I have
thought it
a
was
weird
just a
amount of
nod-
knowledge on all
Could've
of
sworn it
these.
was-
I really would have guessed like it was based on New York, but I didn't think it was.
I
Yeah.
definitely
Portland,
thought
Seattle.
Queens, New York.
Yeah, I thought New York for sure.
It's
Yeah.
Portland and Seattle. It's a mixture.
That there's
Those
not
two
enough
cities.
hippies then.
What?
I mean, New
Weird.
York obviously has influences in there, but he grew up in.
It feels like
Portland
It
and
definitely
moved to
does feel
Seattle.
like New York because
I
they
would
don't
say-
yell at
Are
each
you
other.
sure?
in
Where are you getting
Seattle.
this information from? Because it doesn't sound right.
I mean, you could Google it. It's-
Because you could tell by the
Google it.
banter that people had in the city. Like you had people yelling out their windows like you
well,
would
I
see
guess
in New
I'm
York.
streaming, so
Andy, why do you have Pornhub up?
it's my favorite site.
All right,
everybody's
why
favorite
is
site.
Pornhub your homepage, Andy?
Isn't it yours?
Shoot, after what Pornhub did on quarantine, like premium for free, man, come on. That's everybody's favorite website now.
I didn't even know they did that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, yep.
They did.
I didn't know. I knew that.
Pornhub,
Yeah, you're right.
friend of the
well-
pod.
Pornhub even influenced Terry Crews to create a website to stop the new drug, which is masturbating from Pornhub. That's how powerful Pornhub is.
You forgot an important thing, Andy. It's also based on Brooklyn.
Oh well,
So-
I get but you also said
Yeah, Brooklyn.
you're right.
Brooklyn
I heard
makes
you.
so much more sense.
But
I was
I
thinking
heard
The
Queens,
downtown
but
part?
Brooklyn,
It's
yeah.
Brooklyn.
Did you know Hey
But
Arnold was
where
had a
Arnold
crossover
lives
with?
is like a
Frasier?
Seattle boarding house type of situation.
How do you know that?
Because I've listened to interviews with Craig Bartlett. Because I'm very
Seattle-
into the weird shit
Seattle.
like this.
That
I feel like it would have
Definitely.
rained more.
Yeah, but it's a cartoon. Also, it rains plenty in Hey Arnold.
All right,
Those
I'll
are
vote
plenty
next.
in
I'll go
here.
ahead. So let's see. I've been doing some thinking, and I'm voting for Hey Arnold because
Thank
the
you.
term football head is used many a time, and that transcends everything. You could call anybody a fucking football head, and they'll know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I love it. For that reason alone, my vote's for Hey Arnold.
Okay, go ahead, Dave. I don't want to vote yet.
So I think if I were to watch them now, I probably would enjoy Rocco's Modern Life more overall. But Hey Arnold was just way more memorable to me. Like I honestly, like Julian mentioned some good episodes that I remembered, but I also like I even just remember the stuff like when they wanted to make the biggest pizza, and like
I remember that
together
episode.
to make the biggest pizza. I mean, you got Stoop Kid. You got the episode where Oscar.
Scared
Wow.
to leave his
Yeah.
And yeah,
got the
you didn't even
episode-
bring up Oscar, the best
Yeah,
character.
you have the episode where Oscar has to care for the baby, but he just wants a sandwich.
What about Pigeon Man? They had Pigeon
Yeah,
Man.
They
I
had
do
Monkey
love
Man.
There's so many more
Monkey
memorable
Man, yeah.
Hey Arnold
They have
episodes for
a
me.
lot of very memorable characters for sure.
But
Yeah.
but also you didn't even mention the best Oscar episode where he learns to read and Arnold just drops him off downtown. It's like, go find your way home, you
Yeah.
awful human.
There's just way more Arnold episodes that stick
Yeah.
out. I can recall at a moment's notice. So I'm going with Hey Arnold.
I think
Oh, whoops.
I feel bad because Tom had a very tough tough round because he had
yeah.
not his first choice.
These
And then he
first
had
two
to go up
matchups-
against his first choice, which hardly seems fair.
Oh, that's okay.
But I also am going to vote for Hey Arnold. I liked both your arguments. It really just came down to me what one I liked more as a kid, which is not going to be how I vote every single time because you guys, it was really close either way. It was basically a tie for me. And I just have more memories with Hey Arnold that I just liked it more. Rocko's Modern Life I really liked, but at times it felt too
Good.
inaccessible to me.
Shut up. Oh my god.
Just felt too good.
All right, guys, 20% done.
I thought it was going to be a quick episode.
No,
They're never quick.
I knew this one would be, but it was going to be shorter than
It
usual.
feels like it's going by quick, though.
Don't worry, Meredith. Well, it's only 6 choices. We'll be in and out.
All right, next up, we've got The Simpsons against King of the Hill. Andy, you've got The Simpsons.
We'll let Dave go first.
Oh, you're
Dave?
first on the bracket.
No, fuck you.
Okay,
Go
fine.
I
first.
went first.
All right.
Andy's got to go first.
Yeah, Tom went first, and he was second on the bracket. So
No, he was first on
No,
the
he
bracket.
was first on the bracket.
Would you please?
Oh yeah,
just
he
shut
is.
up
He's
and
Rocco.
go?
Okay. I mean, let's face it. Simpsons changed TV as a whole. It's not just an animated thing. It changed sitcoms as a whole. In the 80s, everything was about the perfect nuclear family. Everything's solved in 30 minutes, and it's always perfect. They don't have to deal with real problems. For Simpsons, you get imperfect children. They're poor. They're a poor family. You looking weird, Bill. I mean, the first episode was that they had to spend their Christmas fund to remove a tattoo from Bart.
I guess I just feel like it was later seasons they kind of dropped the.
No, that was the first
Yeah.
episode. First episode.
You're right. Keep going. I'm just saying later seasons they kind of dropped
Yeah.
that.
But this is all about the 90s. And the 90s Simpsons dealt with all these problems. I mean, there was episodes about Homer struggling with infidelity with the new coworker he had. I mean, it bridged or it changed sitcoms and television as a whole. And to close out this opening statement, there's no King of the Hill without The Simpsons.
Ooh.
I don't think that's true at all, considering a lot of this came from Beavis and Butthead. I mean, Bill's character literally even comes from a very similar character.
It's about a nuclear family sitcom that's animated for adults.
Also, the more you want to say that The Simpsons tackled like serious topics, but like everything was resolved within that episode. Nothing carries forward into the next episode. Whereas with King of the Hill, one, they touch on serious topics. I mean, like you have, Bill, who's depressive and suicidal.
Like our Bill.
Yeah. And they touch on that. And then that doesn't just suddenly go away at the end of that episode. That's a part of that character going forward and even, previously. But also, like, it deals with, like, these characters growing up. Like, Bobby Hill goes through puberty. The neighbor, Joseph, goes through puberty. And that's, episode around that. One of the best episodes is he has to take care of Connie while they're in Hawaii. And she's left behind, and he's got to now deal with someone who's just had their first period. Like, this is actual, like, these characters are growing as you watch the episodes.
But those are all one episode. What about when
But it goes
Lisa
forward. It doesn't just end.
Lisa becomes a vegetarian and a Buddhist, which
and
are
it barely even matters going forward. Like, it's just...
it matters as much as some of the...
it goes forward. But,
it
like,
matters
these
as much as a
characters
lot of
actually
these
grew.
King of the Hill problems.
They actually went through their puberty, and now they're an older character that are dealing with who they are now. On top of that, too, like as I said, it touches on like more serious topics, and it's not too afraid to deal with it. But it's also a more grounded show as a whole. It gets wacky, like there's episodes.
We're talking though 90s Simpsons,
where the Buddhists. There's like Buddhist people that come through and think that Bobby Hill is like a reincarnation of their god. But as a whole, the show is still super grounded. Like It's absurdist, but it's super
I just
grounded.
remember that
throughout.
episode. That was funny.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say The Simpsons isn't grounded from the 90s. See, here's the problem. You can't pull
They
from
had a-
like modern Simpsons because that's
Simpsons
not what
is
we're
definitely-
arguing here.
Simpsons is a cartoon-ass cartoon.
In the 90s?
Yes.
Close you on that.
Oh, I don't know about that. At times, yes. They're like, yes, the monorail
Homer
episode
Simpson
is
has
wacky.
always been a wacky character. It had more heart back in the 90s, but
Yeah,
it was
go-
always
Go back and watch
exaggerated,
some
for
of,
sure.
of like season 4 and 5. He's not as wacky as you would think. Not even close.
he has more heart, but he's still an exaggerated cartoon character, which is fine. We're talking about cartoons here, you know.
Also, there's a lot of growth that happens in The Simpsons. You can't brush off Lisa being a vegetarian because that gets brought up all the time, or at least it did. In Toy
How
Story.
did that change
Like
your
any
character?
vegetarian.
How did that
change-
actually change your character?
I mean, it's a moral thing, though. It's her
They
morality.
never bring it up outside of like it doesn't really change the character at all. It doesn't like it. Sure, she's a vegetarian now.
when I see King of the Hill, you're talking
and
about
they
their
only
puberty.
stuck with it because they promised Paul McCartney, which, if I'm remembering right,
Yeah, but they stuck with it. Just like you're saying, the puberty thing, how it didn't really change their character.
those
It's just-
characters were different. They were teens now.
Yeah,
like they had different emotions. They went through different storylines.
Yeah, you used Joseph as an example. The doofus Joseph didn't change that much. He was.
He absolutely did. He
I
was
don't
a
think
little
he
more
did at
insecure
all.
with his emotions. Yeah, he was. Joseph changes.
Also, we're talking about Joseph and Connie, two secondary characters, not main characters on the cast.
They
Changing.
get a lot of attention in King of the Hill. They get a lot of attention for all their side characters.
So
'Cause
what?
the side characters stick around.
What big changes happened to the main cast of King of the Hill, other than Luann marrying Tom Petty, which was not funny or
What
good
big
in any-
changes happened to Homer? He gets dumber throughout the series.
Yeah,
He gets worse. He
Yeah,
loses his
not
heart.
the '90s. Yeah, but then
Marge
you-
goes throughout. By the end of the '90s, they're starting to get a
No.
little too Flanderized. I mean, literally, the whole
No.
thing of Flanderization is what happens to Simpsons characters. and
Yeah,
you see
but it didn't
happening
start in the '90s.
by the end of the year.
I mean, I guess
By the
that
decade.
term does come from The Simpsons.
Yeah,
And it
well,
comes
that's
within
what
that
happens
decade
when
of
you
the
run for
90s.
32 years, which they're still running based on the heart and character of the '90s Simpsons.
That heart is gone.
Yeah,
which
but
is
doesn't
fine.
matter.
We're not
Quick.
talking about those. But
Yeah,
by
but
the
we're-
end of the '90s,
Where
they're
does,
going that direction already.
where does The Simpsons end around? Like, what air? Like, where are we at in The Simpsons around the end of the '90s?
10?
12?
10?
Okay.
Something like that.
Like we've already had the episode that kills Seymour by making him a
Yeah,
vet that's not
okay.
actually a vet.
Yeah,
like
but
we're
then-
already in the like starting to see where the Simpsons is going to start to decline, and it starts to decline by the end of the year.
Yeah,
the decade.
but
That was a
we've-
bad episode.
Yes, but we've both talked about how many great episodes are, and that
That
are
is
still
true.
being talked about 30 years later. I mean, it's other than SpongeBob, it's like the most memed thing. It's a beloved series for a reason.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I don't understand your argument that the characters actually change, because to me, The Simpsons is
I think they changed just as
emblematic
much as
of
King of the
nothing
Hill.
matters outside of the episode,
I
None of
mean,
the
I feel
characters
the
don't
same way
change
about
at
King of the
all.
Hill, though. Nothing.
except for getting worse because they lose their heart.
But you said that the puberty thing for Connie and Joseph, I don't see that as a big change.
Those
and
are
there was
they absolutely changed. They grew up.
yeah.
Bart's still 9 or whatever, how old he is.
Yeah, but what does age have to do? Their character's still the same.
They're not the same character though anymore. You can
Uh,
say that, but it's
I
not
think-
true, Andy.
I think they are.
They changed.
Okay, so how is Bobby changed? If Connie and Joseph are aging, how is Bobby aged?
Okay, sure.
Okay, but that's the main cast. When I say Lisa, that's
But
the
also-
main cast of The Simpsons.
How has Bart changed, Andy?
But I'm just saying you
How has
can't
Bart
say.
changed? If you want to push me on that, how has Bart changed?
I could say the same thing. He hasn't much, but your argument was like, look at all this
Then,
change in
no.
these characters.
No,
They
but then
changed as
how are
much
you
as The
saying
Simpsons.
then that they change? I can give you side characters for sure, and I understand they're the side character, not main cast. But there are clear differences in the characters throughout the years. But you
Okay.
can't even name a single character other than say like Ned's wife died.
Oh, okay, but Skinner also started dating Edna and changed his entire character based around that because he's now less dependent on his mother while still trying to, be a mama's boy.
Did that happen in the 90s?
Yes, it did. It happened in the
How
mid
long did that
90s
last for?
until the mid 2000s.
Okay.
So a very long time.
Okay.
So there's my side character. So it sounds
So
like
we have like Connie, Joseph, Bill. Even Dale gets a little less extreme as you know.
I'm
the
pretty
seasons go
sure.
on.
I'm pretty sure Barney not
Hank
being
gets
a
more
drunk
accepting
anymore.
as time goes on.
Barney being sober, I think, started in the 90s.
I mean, at the beginning, Hank's very anger management issues, and that lessens over time as he.
I have a question. Where does King of the Hill end up in the 90s? Because I know that goes well into the 2000s as well.
The same
so
show
did
it was.
too.
Have they
same-
hit puberty yet?
Same where it started. Same show.
It's not the same show, but yeah. And if you want to go on that argument, The Simpsons was worse than when it started. But it ends around season 5, which I'm pretty confident that the puberty stuff has already happened within.
But are we positive?
I'm positive. I said I'm pretty positive. I'm positive.
All I'm saying is your argument
Also, if you want to
against
talk
The
about great-
Simpsons for King of the Hill was look at all the change in all these characters, but their side characters, which I've also mentioned, changed on The Simpsons.
Your argument was also that there was change, but there was no change. Anyways,
No.
Great episodes.
That was just me rebuttaling yours.
great episodes.
My argument is that it's a better show.
We've got Hank fishing with crack cocaine because he mistook who he was supposed to buy his bait from. We've got the
Grounded
Buddhist
in
thinking
reality.
that Bobby is a reincarnation of a god. We have Hank getting a bad haircut from his barber, so he goes to Bill to get a haircut, but because it's the U.S. Army, it costs him $900 to get his haircut. We got the episode about Hank's small butt. He's got a small butt, and he wants to race on a lawnmower, but he's got to wear implants that he puts above his arm. He's got a small butt. You got Hank freaking out about not having home insurance because he's concerned that something's going to go wrong in the house and he's not going to be covered anymore. You got Peggy becoming a sex worker on accident featuring Snoop Dogg.
So what?
You
Where
got
are the
Peggy's foot fetish
personal
on the
episodes?
internet.
Where are the personal
got
episodes?
Bobby
These
kicking
are all
people.
comedy. See,
You
I
got
can,
the Firehouse episode where
can name
Boomhauer
a-
speaks perfect English when he has to recount what he was talking about. You got Peggy accidentally kidnapping a little girl from Mexico
Sounds-
and then being
sounds
let
pretty
go
one note.
All right.
A lot of
That's
comedy.
Like,
speak English.
A lot of
that's like
comedy.
10 episodes that you've listed.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
is
where's
a
the
lot.
where's the
There's so
heart
many
you
good
talked
episodes.
about? I mean, there was the Simpsons episode where they were going over how Maggie was born, and she speaks her first words at the end of the episode. It's not a funny episode, but it's touching. It's more than just like I can rattle off all the funny ones. Marge versus the monorail, the dental plan where Homer starts a strike to get the dental plan so he can pay for Lisa's braces.
Uh-huh.
There's the episode Cape Fear where Sideshow Bob gets out of prison and the Simpsons go in the witness protection program.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you could go on all day about funny Simpsons, just like you could funny King of the Hill. Where's
You want
the
heart?
heart? Yeah, where's the heart?
Okay. I mean, you have the episode where with the Christmas where we find
The Christmas.
Bill suicidal
Okay.
and Hank trying to handle him, and then Bill having a further break where he starts to cross-dress, and in Texas,
And then it
that's
starts getting
Hold
it's
on.
a suicidal episode that Bill starts cross-dressing.
yeah, because he has a break, and
Yeah.
everyone in Texas is not cool with that, but Hank
Yeah.
meets him on his level and does it with him
I
to try
know
to
the episode, yeah.
relate to him, and then ends with helping Bill out. You have the episode where Hank has to come to terms and learn about Connie's issues. We have the episode where Dale is concerned that his dad was cheating with Dale's wife, but the actual thing is that Dale's dad is gay. But the problem isn't that Dale's dad is gay; it's that Dale has no idea what's going on. Nobody in that entire episode had any issue with Dale being gay. Instead, it was just not Dale's dad being gay. So there was a lot of heart of in this middle of Texas, conservative Texas, everyone is accepting of.
Yeah, that
Dale's
seems
dad.
unrealistic. I like how Simpsons portrayed gay better, where there was Marge was friends with the gay guy, and Bart
was Bart?
No, Marge was, and then Bart started kind of showing like being more flamboyant, and Homer was uncomfortable with that. and the
So
idea
you
of
like the
homosexuality.
episode where it wasn't about the gay character; it was about Homer's homophobia,
Yeah, because he grew at the end of it.
and it was the
He
gay
was more
character was
accepting
used
of-
as a vehicle instead of an actual character. and
I
you never
don't
see that
know.
character
Conservative Texas,
Ooh.
everyone's like, it's fine that he's gay. it's a perfect world. I like that The Simpsons like showed a character that's uncomfortable with the idea of it and grew a little bit. I mean,
that's just about Homer.
So
they used the gay character to be about Homer, which I don't like.
Because it's a show.
I think that's a shallow take on that.
To show how people could change from being homophobic, and it's showing a realistic depiction of how a 90s straight male
I wouldn't call that
feel
realistic.
Should we move on to the part where we ask questions?
Yeah, go asking questions.
Let's do that.
I see, though, me and Dave are going at each other. That's what I want.
You're the one that brought this heat.
No, you came at me with this heat. Oh, Simpsons don't change. All right, we'll go there.
Tom, what you got?
Yeah.
So I'm going to touch on the most recent topic that was pissed about. Obviously, I'm going to say both are a little unrealistic in some sense. To say the South is accepting, even accepting here is like been some hurdles as well. But I guess, wow, that was a lot. This is way more involved than what ours was.
Good.
This got way more heated than I
I'll be fair. I thought King of the Hill should have been in the finals.
I wasn't going to get aggressive until Andy started interrupting me on my opening.
Good. That's what I wanted.
Sorry, keep going.
So I guess, in summary though, like I guess for either of you first, like what would you say are maybe like top 3 characteristics or things that would make it better than the other one? Like if you were to just give top 3 summary
of the show as a whole?
Yeah.
Well, so for me, it's that it feels like an actual place where, like, similar to how Hey Arnold feels like it's a community. This feels like an actual community of people. Like, you get to know these side characters over a long period of time. They're just not just like one-off characters that you might see for a couple of episodes. You actually get to know these characters. 2, as I said, even though there is an absurdist element to the show because it's a comedy, I like that it is also still largely grounded. Even if its topic is absurd, it feels way more grounded. And then the other thing is, even though I like those absurdist episodes too. I like those moments that I can just recall immediately, which granted Simpsons also has, but like I still laugh at the idea of Hank Hill having a can of WD-40 that he can't get the top off of. So he takes a smaller can of WD-40 to loosen that cap to then use the bigger can. Like Simpsons has those moments as well, but for me, I get more of a chuckle now from that. This would be a 4th thing, so you don't need to count it really. But something else I like with King of the Hill is that I think it was underappreciated when it was airing, and only after the fact, after it was gone, people realized, like, hey, this was a really fucking good show. Like, people didn't give it the attention that it deserved at the time. So,
fair enough. And Andy?
So I think The Simpsons, and we're talking 90s Simpsons, so I want to preface that because there is definitely a decline to the point where we are today. But in the 90s, I think it came with more heart than King of the Hill more consistently. I get that King of the Hill had very important issues that it tackled. But I think if you're talking about a grounded show that tackles issues that are faced by the everyday lower middle class family, I think The Simpsons tackled it much more thoroughly, much more effectively, and with more heart. I think that everything Dave said about King of the Hill, this is my second point with the memorable moments and everything. I think Simpsons is the same, but like tenfold. The 90s Simpsons is still talked about today on the internet. I mean, there's a reason it's still memed. It's still beloved. It came to Disney Plus, and that was a big deal. And then, Disney screwed it up by its aspect ratio. But nonetheless, Simpsons coming is they had the all-day Simpsons marathon. I mean, Simpsons resonated because of those memorable moments that people still talk about today, and at a higher amount than King of the Hill. Now, I will give Dave the benefit that King of the Hill had 5 years in the 90s and Simpsons had all 10. So there's bound to be more memorable moments because of that alone. But I mean, there's a reason it still runs today. And it's not because it's good today. It's because it's living off the legacy that it left in the 90s. And that's something that King of the Hill doesn't have to the same amount as Simpsons. It doesn't have that legacy that it's leaving behind. It didn't change the game like the Simpsons did. Everything tries to be the next Simpsons, and it's because it's a game changer.
Okay. This is helpful. Thank you.
I want each of you to say something nice about each other now.
I mean, I'll be honest. I fucking love King of the Hill. It's so good.
This is a very bad matchup because The Simpsons is extremely good, and a lot of the strengths shared between both of them. Like,
if I picked my original topic, it would not have been as heated. These shows are similar in setup, but very different in a lot of ways.
True. I will say neither of you said, I think, my two favorite episodes from each series.
Well, I had a whole list. Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
let me know what yours is.
I love in King of the Hill when Hank shakes George H.W. Bush's hand.
And it's weak.
A weak handshake. And then he has like an existential crisis about it. And then in The Simpsons, I don't know if it's my favorite episode, but I think one of the more serious episodes, which you were trying to articulate,
yes.
When he thinks he's going to die.
Oh, the heart attack, the triple bypass.
Yeah. No. I don't remember exactly what the setup was, but like I think he accidentally maybe poisoned himself.
Oh, the pufferfish one where he ate that. Yes. I didn't even think of that one. Yeah. That one is. I mean, it. Yeah.
I think that I can't say that word. It's like the second time I've tried to say that word on this.
That's
pod.
fine. Encapsulates. I
both
think I said
shows.
it right.
Both great shows.
Well, that's the thing. That's why. I mean, King of the Hill's real good. That's why I had to come out and be aggressive because
I don't think there's much like it these days. You know.
No.
Mm-mm. It kind of it did its thing, and then nothing's tried to copy it yet.
Well, there was the Good Family.
I mean, I could say the same about The Simpsons, and The Simpsons are still airing, and it's just not like it used to be.
I mean, if we took these shows as a whole,
King of the Hill's better.
Yeah, I think so. Just because of
again,
then it's kind of hard to. I don't know, man.
I feel like by the end of the decade, though, that's when you already saw the signs of.
But it was still good. It was still good by season 9. Yeah, they had the one episode that everyone points to as like, oh, Simpsons died here, but I could pull up season 9 right now, and I can name some good episodes.
I think The Simpsons had a handful of good episodes in every season. It just gets less and less and less.
I would say
to the point where it's like maybe one episode in season 30.
I would say by episode 12, it's no longer a good show.
Season 12?
Season 12. Oh, God.
I would even go a little further than that. But
I mean, season 13 is the one where Bart becomes a skateboarder, Tony Hawk, and emancipated. That's where it died.
That's where I personally was like, I think I'm done.
How many seasons does King of the Hill have? 14?
I believe it's 10.
That's it.
Yeah. Again, 13. It did get shafted on its season 13 because Fox refused to air like 4 of the episodes, and then it like aired stuff out of order in the end too. So like it didn't even actually end where they had planned it to end.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah. Fox in general treated King of the Hill pretty poorly.
Fox in general treats a lot of shows pretty poorly.
Yes.
Yes.
Futurama.
Yes, they do.
Firefly.
Yeah. I don't know much about Firefly other than that show got moved around.
Oh yeah, they didn't even air the pilot
4 times in one season.
They aired the pilot for Firefly, which was necessary to understand these characters well, to be the season finale.
Yes, I was always confused by that.
That seems dumb.
Yeah, they make bad choices over there.
But getting back to Simpsons and Family Guy. Simpsons and
Family
King
Guy.
Yeah, no one's putting Family Guy on their list.
No.
Season in 1999.
No, can't do that.
I just think this was kind of a tough round 1 matchup.
Yeah. Although I do like how Rocko's Modern Life matched up with Hey Arnold and Simpsons matched up with King of the Hill.
Yeah, they're certainly in the same
They're in the same realm.
Yeah. But originally, funny thing is, originally I was going to do Animaniacs, and that would have been much more like I can't really compare to Dave, so I'll just let Dave say his thing and then just say my thing.
Also, you mentioned memes. I just want to mention that King of the Hills is starting to get more memes, like the one where Bobby holds the paper up to the window to the kids, and then the it says if they knew how to read, they'd be very upset.
Yeah,
and
but
pocket sand has always been a classic meme.
but then you
or,
got
the JPEG.
But the Simpsons with Boo and Boo Earns.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many. The steamed hams, that thing went wild a couple of years ago. And that's a great episode too. Where they did the 22 short films in Springfield. It's so weird. It was so good though.
I miss the debating.
Could
you guys go back to fighting?
Please. I think at this point, the fight.
This is what I thought. This was what I was prepared to just say. Hey, this is what I like about the show. This is
No. You got to get into a debate. That's what the people want. And
oh man, who am I more afraid of?
no, you shouldn't be afraid of either of us.
I'm not.
Who would you rather not fight, Bill? Would you like to talk about the positives, or would you like to get into an argument?
Here's the
I don't
thing,
even know how you could argue against I don't know.
The thing is, though, like, how could I argue against you? What do Space Ghost and The Simpsons have in common versus King of the Hill and The Simpsons? There's a lot in common, and we can get into it.
Yeah.
Are we gonna vote?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I can take it off. My vote is going to be The Simpsons on this one. So.
Wow, Dave, how do you feel about
it? Well, this is normal. This is normal me on the podcast, so it's fine. Also, I understand in this case.
And actually, it's partially because kind of something that Dave touched on, where it's like no one really gave it the light of day, and I'm actually guilty of that. And unfortunately, I haven't watched. And I'll be the first to admit it, I haven't watched enough of it to probably make a full decision. But from what I've seen between the two, or from some of the episodes I've watched, The King of the Hill, and then some of the episodes I've watched in The Simpsons, it's just more of a personal preference. I just like that one better, and it's no fault against either of them. I think they're both great and stuff like that, but I just think it edges it out a little bit.
I like after such intense debates, we always come down to, well, I like this show better. So.
Well, I mean, it was fun. That's what I want.
Again, if this gets swept, I completely understand. It's The Simpsons in the 90s.
Yeah, I also felt like I kind of took an easy route by picking The Simpsons. So if people pick King of the Hill, because Dave brought up good points and I kind of took an easy route, I get that too. Like I almost didn't pick The Simpsons because it's like, well, it's like kind of a lob where like I should be like, well, there's a reason, it's a game changer, whatever. But Dave actually came with a good argument, so I get it.
I wanted to see blood. That's what I wanted to see. Well, I want exactly the same energy that you just showed me in my argument, Andy.
I will say I think Simpsons is closer, like more nostalgic, but King of the Hill is probably more what I would enjoy watching like now. So a little closer to the heart, maybe.
All right, I'll go next. I do think that Simpsons was. If it's only the 90s, I have to vote for The Simpsons. I mean, that it really sucks that that's pretty much the time period where they started to get iffy from time to time. And similar to Tom, I haven't watched a lot of King of the Hill, but I've enjoyed everything you guys have shown me, all the random clips and whatnot. So I do need to sit down and put effort into it. Sorry, Dave. You just like you've had bad luck these last few weeks. You've just ran into buzzsaws like every single time. I'm sorry.
I will say to help Dave's case as well. He didn't even mention the episode where Bobby takes women's self-defense classes.
Yeah, no, I briefly mentioned it. That's
about what I got. Or Peggy's Boggle tournament.
Or the the episode where Hank and his dad go to Japan because he's meant to meet a widower from someone he killed in the war, but it turns out
It turned out to be his half brother.
yeah, no, and so Hank meets his half brother, and then at the end of that
This is
episode,
exactly like him.
Peggy's like, "Oh, I'm going to write a review about how bad Japanese hotels are," and then his half brother's like, "Wait, did you not open this door?" And then slides it open in his hotel room.
Yeah. I do like how they both have half brothers.
Oh yeah, Homer has a half brother
Yeah,
too.
that's true.
And he's Vito.
Oh,
No.
also, Hank's
I
dad
forget
is
his
trying
name.
to kill the Emperor of Japan while he's over there.
Yeah.
So you said the show was grounded, Dave.
Again, but yeah.
It
Yeah.
kind of sort of is.
I will say, Mike, is it Mike Judge?
Yeah,
I think so.
Mike Judge.
He's so good at creating like a world in each of his shows, except for The Good Family, which I never liked.
I never saw.
And America didn't like. But The Simpsons I had so much creative talent behind it, especially in the 90s. I'll go with The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave.
We didn't
So-
even talk about the
I
Conan
love-
O'Brien years.
Damn.
I love Conan, King of the Hill too.
It's so good.
I'm gonna go with King of the Hill simply based off the fact I have a lot more memory with it. I watched more King of the Hill than I did The Simpsons. Although I did like how Simpsons had more cameos or memorable cameos. I know that King of the Hill also had guest stars. I know Chris Rock was on one episode.
Yeah, they were less common. Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, they were-
as I
Tom
mentioned.
Snoop
Petty
Dogg was in
married
it, Tom
Luann.
Petty. Yeah.
Tom Petty.
But I'm gonna have to go with King of the Hill.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, we didn't talk about guest stars. I mean, Simpsons kind of does
Yeah.
it shitty now,
Yeah.
but that
They
Michael
did it in-
Jackson episode.
That was
Oh,
an amazing
so
episode.
good.
Like
That
an
was
actual,
such a good episode.
an actual legitimate complaint I have is that I think Simpsons like maybe overused the guest star, and then it especially does now
Oh,
to
God,
try to
it's-
get people to
Yeah.
check
Yeah.
out an episode.
Yeah.
I
Family
don't
Guy
like.
Simpsons crossover.
I don't
That was
like how
terrible.
The Simpsons now. It probably started in the '90s though. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, here's our guest star, named guest star. Was like early on they did that episode with the guy who said he was Michael Jackson, and it was like the fat white guy in the mental institution, but it
Yeah.
was voiced by Michael Jackson,
Mhm.
and he went uncredited. And I think that's
Mhm.
awesome.
He goes uncredited in a lot of stuff actually because he didn't want
Yeah.
like his name to influence the thing that was actually on in a ingenuine way, basically like non-genuine way. He was cool. Like that.
Well,
He was in Space Channel 5.
well, let's not say it was cool.
Everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's not get into that.
Yeah.
That's for a different podcast.
Oh,
All right, so let's move on to our semifinals, in which Hey Arnold by Julian is going up against my choice, which was Batman the Animated Series.
I'm so sad because I'm even wearing a Batman shirt right now.
Yes, sir. Knows who should win. You already know.
It's a point for Batman right there.
I
All
mean,
right.
God.
before
I'll-
this even starts. Oh man. Okay.
I'll make a little intro, and then I guess since we kind of know a lot about Hey Arnold, Julian, you can just go and
Right off the
scream
right
at
off
me
the
some
cuff.
more.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna scream at you because anybody who knows me knows I love Batman. Anybody who knows me.
I actually didn't know that about you.
Well,
Well, there we go.
well, now you know.
Wow, I feel like we're closer now.
I
I guess I figured based on the shirt you're wearing.
Oh yeah.
See, from here, I just see a yellow shirt, so it could be anything.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right,
But-
so I think that this is the best animated superhero show ever. Certainly the best Batman one. Probably the best ever animated superhero one, and it set a lot of good precedents for stuff like. I remember we talked earlier about Batman Beyond possibly being on someone's list too, which is also an awesome show. But without the success of Batman the Animated Series, you get no Batman Beyond. You don't get Justice League in the early 2000s. You don't get Superman the Animated Series. All good stuff as well. Also, I never had cable growing up until I was like 13. So that's about 2003. So this is the only show on the list that I watched. I guess I was too young for The Simpsons and King of the Hill, which were on Fox, but my parents wouldn't let me watch until I was older. So I didn't really know much about Hey Arnold or Rocco, but I watched Batman very, very often. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And that's where I'll stop for now.
Okay. I as much as I loved Batman the animated series, there were times where I was kind of annoyed with how campy it could get and how strange it would be. Because I mean, the first episode that is on the listing is the Man Bat episode, where I forget the doctor's name, turns into a bat. And then I remember there's like a werewolf episode, and then Batman says, "Calm down, big guy." And I was like, that doesn't sound like something Batman would say. And so it was just like, there was times where it was like, oh man, this is really cool. And I like how he comes down and he does the squint. The opening was amazing. But it's just, there were times where it would get kind of campy for how serious it was. Unless it was like a Joker episode. And those were funny, but those were still kind of... It was a strange mix, but with Hey Arnold, it was consistent and it felt more consistent the entire way through. If they were going to stick to like a funny part, it would be funny. If they were going to go more serious that episode, they would be more serious that episode. So it was a little bit more tight knit for me. That's what I would say that one of the edges that Hey Arnold has over Batman the Animated Series.
Okay. I think you need those little campy breaks, the humor breaks in between some of the super serious stuff. It frees up the episode more and it makes the serious stuff more serious and more grounded. It makes the humor stand out a little bit more. I think you need the variety in episodes like that, or in all the episodes really. And again, it's a cartoon still. You got to make it a little more appealing for little kids than something, starting off with Batman tracking down murderers and smugglers and shit like that. It can't be from the beginning.
Werewolves and
and
Man
Bat. I get that some of the villains
creatures
are strange, but it just makes the really important ones like Joker, who's so incredibly evil without any sort of like redeeming quality, worse. Like you have some of the Man Bats and the relatable people, and then you get the Joker, and it's like, oh shit, things went up a notch. Do you have that in Hey Arnold? Is there an equivalent Joker? Is Helga the Joker in Hey Arnold?
Why so serious, football head?
Oh man, I mean, I would say in Hey Arnold, you definitely had those moments where you had a bunch of comedy. Like I thought, like I said, the parts where like Helga would hit that one kid who was stalking her. Or what about the episode where Helga was trying to be a little bit more adult-like because the other girls made fun of her and said she's not girly enough, so she like got a bunch. I thought that was hilarious, and I can't say personally for me it was relatable, but at the same time you could see how it's relatable to some of the girls that would watch it. It's kind of funny, you know what I mean? Or maybe the episode like with Gerald and like he's trying to get a job on his own because he realizes like I can't do anything at my house. I remember like something similar to that. I remember being yelled at my parents like, don't turn on the thermostat, don't do this, don't do that, you don't have money to do this, and me just wanting so bad to go out on my own. Gerald did that shit. He lived that life. I didn't. I was really jealous. Do you have that in Batman? No, because he has all the money.
He does. Sorry, Julian. He's got all the money.
Mm-hmm.
He's got more money than all of us combined.
His greatest
That's very
superpower.
true. His white privilege.
It's pretty bad.
I mean, it's true. Like,
yeah, very much. This show also kind of defined Harley Quinn and was like one of the very first instances of Harley Quinn, which has spawned
created Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
Very first.
it really
entirely defined who that character is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, she's an absolute role model for tons of women, bonking people on the head with giant mallets, cat collars, and whatnot. It's great. Oop, my computer's being weird for a second. Sorry. Thank you, guys.
Some of the silliness from Batman, I also have to assume, probably comes from the comics. There's so much.
They did a very good job at adapting comic book stories. So, and yeah, it's a comic. It looks like a comic book. There are comic books currently that are being made that are Batman, like, I don't know what exactly, like the new Batman animated series, but it's the exact same style in comic book form that are getting sold today. And they're pretty fun to watch and to look through.
We're talking about animated series, though. We're talking about this one in particular.
Something great.
That's true.
So here's I'm gonna be flat out blunt. I came into this with a biased opinion, and I've already heard both of you say what makes the show so great. But what would you say you would like to see different, or would make the show you're arguing against better? So Julian, what do you see in Batman the Animated Series that needs to be changed? And Andy, what do you see in Hey Arnold that needs to be changed? I want to be convinced to change my opinion.
Okay. I would like to see, I guess, just a little bit.
Oh, I'll say
I guess
3 things if you have 3, or just like a monologue.
Three things. Okay, 3 things that I would change. One, I would give Robin a more of a solid storyline because it was hard for me to follow his storyline, and that kind of threw me off some of the episodes. Some of the main characters in there, like I just wanted to know, well, where did Robin come in? Where does he come in and all this? He just shows up in the Christmas episode and then that's that. Like, where did he come from? Where does he come from? You don't find out that until later. So I would have liked to see more of a chronological storyline as opposed to just people just showing up, getting beaten up by Batman. Another thing that I would like to see, I would really like to see Bruce, like, there were some episodes where you see Batman like in a really bad predicament. Like a lot of the time you would see him in a bad predicament, but it's like he got off scot-free all the time because of just something in his utility belt or just by a stroke of luck. I would really like to see him actually struggle and go through a few episodes, like a couple long episodes where he goes through something.
Like a Bane arc kind of deal?
Yeah, some type of Bane arc or something like that. But yeah, because most of the episodes it was just like, oh no, is Batman gonna die? It felt like I was watching the old school Batman show from like the 60s and 70s with Adam West.
Monster of the Week format.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'd say those 2 mostly. I can't think of a third one. I'd love that show.
No, fair enough.
The monsters are the best part. Batman's as good as his rogues gallery. Any superhero is as good as the bad guys he's going up against.
Yeah, but he's always beating them. Always beating them.
That's fine.
He's never at a point where he's actually down.
It's a children's
always
show.
beating
You want
them.
his back broken? Like,
Yes.
Yes. They showed that in the comic. What are you talking about?
That's fine. Batgirl dies in
Killing
in an
Joke.
episode.
Oh, she does die in the show?
It's a dream sequence, but she dies in the show.
Is that part of the 4th season with Batman and
Yes.
Robin? Okay. I didn't really watch that one as much.
Yeah, she gets doused with Scarecrow's fear toxin, and she has like an awful nightmare in which she dies. And then Batman gets Robin and Nightwing and Bane to try and like avenge her. And there's some very serious stuff here. I get that it might be a little bit like you kind of wrap it up at the end of the day, but I mean, there's 2-part episodes. You've got Two-Parter with Two-Face in there. There's other good stuff. As for how I would change Hey Arnold as someone who barely watched Hey Arnold.
Fair enough. Got it.
Watch it. First one. Watch the show.
I tactically picked my question.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, because you heard I didn't have cable.
Yes.
Well, I would think that, hey, Arnold, what kind of trauma does he have that pushes him into becoming the football head that he is?
Poverty.
Poverty. Okay, that's a bad one.
Yeah,
I mean, he had a pretty-
Yeah, his parents died. He didn't even know his parents. Both his parents died.
Not
For
anymore,
someone-
Julian.
That was apparently in poverty. He had a really sick bedroom, though.
Yeah.
His bedroom was dope.
Yeah.
I certainly feel the influence of that though more than not to bring it up again, but then like The Simpsons. Like it feels a little more. It feels like it informs the setting a little bit more.
Dave,
I didn't mean to bring. I just
Okay,
wanted,
Dave.
You lost, Dave.
I'm up against Space
You
Ghost
lost.
now.
Let it go.
you know, Space Ghost is really informed by,
Hey, I don't know if I can argue.
No, but I'm
against
just
that.
trying to say like it feels, even if it doesn't also have dramatic impact, it feels like it informs the setting more than, or like the characters, like Oscar especially.
I don't need to reply anymore, Dave.
I'm not replying to you.
I'm kidding. I'm messing with you.
Just fucking with you. Dave's like, I'm gonna get this argument.
Yeah, fuck you, Andy.
Simpsons were not poor; it was barely a thing.
Dave's over here. I didn't lose shit. Y'all just bad.
I was here to talk about my positives.
What other questions for us?
Yeah, anybody?
I kind of already answered mine. I was going to ask you what like your standout episodes were.
Mm.
My standout one is probably the Mr. Freeze episode.
That also influenced Mr. Freeze going forward. That's
completely changed his backstory.
He wasn't
Totally
taken very
changed him.
seriously, and now he becomes Arnold Schwarzenegger a few years later, and just in a fantastic performance. But it's it's a great exploration of how heartbreaking loss can kind of transform a person into doing evil deeds or good deeds, and him and Batman are kind of on two opposite sides of the scale there. But I think that one's fantastic and probably my standout number one.
Julian?
Oh, what? I thought we already
Julian's
answered
already
that.
answered.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I
can answer another one. I think another episode that I really liked was when that one kid, Arnold was like Jesus, low key. He was just going around saving people like with problems. He was just solving everybody's problems.
And you're saying Batman wasn't Jesus?
Oh, God, no. No, because like I remember the episode where Arnold helped that one kid shoot, or they were on the basketball team, and the coach's kid couldn't shoot a free throw because he was too stressed about his dad wanting to win, and Arnold just showed him like this super easy way. But then the kid got all in his head, and Arnold was like, "Yeah, I'm the shit," and Arnold's like, "Oh no, you need to be more humble." You learned a life lesson at that point. So, or he got Stoop Kid to leave his stoop. We all know that.
Hey, Arnold was such a well-adjusted young man.
He really was. Especially that episode where Sid,
Sid
Harold,
was a piece of shit.
Sid was my hero.
And then the other two kids
tell.
decided that they were going to moon the principal, and the principal couldn't figure out who it was. Arnold saw who it was, and he proved that he's not a snitch. That's dope.
Sorry to bring it up again. That just reminded me of the episode where Hank wanted to not be so uptight, so he mooned the previous governor of Texas.
Dave. Let it go.
Dave, what are you going to bring up a JoJo reference now?
You can't. That actually changed my mind. Let's re-vote for Simpsons.
I'll vote against The Simpsons.
All right, I'm just remembering all these other things from this other great show.
He brings up a great point. When Hank mooned that guy.
I feel like this is what's gonna happen the whole episode.
He's gonna be like, "Hey,
our shows," but in King of the Hill, they had something similar.
I'm waiting now for Dave to be like, this Hey Arnold episode. I believe they based a JoJo stand off of him.
I'd go to sleep. I like the one where Arnold won that food contest. He just ate a lot.
See, I think we're giving Arnold too much credit. I think a big part of his character is he isn't perfect. He tries to do the right thing all the time, but sometimes it's
There's
not
that
always
episode
the
where
right
he had the
out.
crush on the teacher.
yeah.
But I mean, that's not too uncommon for a kid, I guess. So
Yeah, but I mean, he's
topic.
He's not perfect. I mean, there was the one
Not
where they
perfect.
they dressed up as
The
fruit.
banana and the strawberry.
Yeah,
First episode.
and Arnold had a bit of a breakdown in that episode. It was Gerald who kind of kept him cool.
That's true.
So I think there's
And
some
also,
positives.
Arnold has a better best friend. Arnold has a way better best friend.
Are
Batman
you
doesn't
about to
have
tell
any
me
better
that Gerald's
best
cooler than Robin?
I
Yes.
think
The
Batman's
American
best-
hero
yes.
Robin?
Batman's
Yes.
best friend is Alfred the Butler.
Oh, you lost now, Julian.
no, Gerald's still pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Gerald's
Gerald's still the best friend.
Well, you guys are underestimating fucking Alfred.
Well, you didn't see Bruce Wayne and Alfred dap it up like Gerald and Arnold did. They dap it up every day.
I wish they had the same secret handshake.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where's Batman and Alfred's handshake?
They don't got one. It's just Bruce is just like, Alfred, I want pizza tonight. Yes, Master Wayne. That's not it.
That's not,
You know
that's
what?
not a good friendship.
Sometimes you need that friend.
One who just is a yes man.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Gerald wasn't a yes man.
No.
Yeah, Gerald
And
was-
also, cool
There's
thing
other
about
things
Gerald
going
is
on.
he was flawed too. No one was perfect in Hey Arnold.
No one was.
Except
And
for
that's what
Stoop
made them
Kid.
so relatable.
Stoop Kid was perfect. He should have just stayed on that fucking stoop.
Yeah. Stoop Kid had sort of
he
the.
shouldn't have. I'm glad he left his stoop, man. He
Nah,
was
man.
letting like kids were just like, as soon as they found out he wouldn't leave his stoop, they were just clowning him and stuff like that. And then when Harold was going there trying to clown him, give him a smoke, and the stoop kid just jumped off, said, "Come here, fat boy," and chased him a whole block. That was great. I love that. It was such a triumphant moment.
In today's day and age, you could have ordered a gun, solved all his problems, and stayed on the stoop.
Oh my god.
That's awful.
Amazon would have just
dark.
dropped it off to him.
Let's
You
be
wouldn't even have to
fair.
go in
I
charge.
mean, Julian said that this adult man is chasing a child to beat the shit out of him. Is
He
it
wasn't
any
an adult
different?
man. I never
Then the
said he was an
name.
adult man. His name was Stoop
was
Kid.
Stoop
Yeah,
Kid.
Dude, Stoop Kid.
By comparison, Stoop Kid is probably much older than a 10-year-old
He
fat
looked
boy.
like
Harold.
14 at most.
Okay, 4 years is a
14.
big difference when you're 10. It
I
is
like
like
that
fighting a
still.
man.
Andy's suggestion for Hey Arnold is more guns. He
He
wants to bring
Yeah.
guns to the city.
Yeah, you wanted
Jesus.
realism. If it's based into the Bronx, then there's guns.
It's Brooklyn. They don't have that many guns.
Whatever.
There's a huge
Did
difference
you just say
between the
there's no
Bronx and
guns in
Brooklyn.
New York?
I like how it's.
Not
I like
one.
how it's Seattle when he doesn't want it to
Yeah.
be New York. But
Yeah.
it's the Bronx.
But it's
He does want it to be
It's
New
the
York.
Bronx.
I'll be
No.
quiet now. I got called out on my shit.
oh my gosh. We voting?
I'm ready to vote.
I'm ready.
Go for it.
I could start. I came into this with a bias for Batman. I liked your arguments, Julian. I really wanted to be swayed. Batman's so good. And no one talked about how good the voice acting is with Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, the dynamic of all of that. I think the best Joker, and I could argue the best Batman. I wanted to be convinced, but I couldn't be.
That not speaking of influential, that also influenced like the Arkham games. Like they kept that voice cast.
It influenced Batman as a whole.
hmm
So that's-
Unfortunately, in this case for me, I actually didn't really watch much Batman. It's like a missing spot of what I should have watched. But I absolutely recognized how influential it was, not even just to Batman, but just comic book adaptations of cartoon variety, and also again huge impact on all of Batman that came after. But for me, I think honestly, I'm like reappreciating Hey Arnold just hearing about it again, and like really, it felt like a story of those characters. Like it didn't. It just felt like everything was natural. So I'm voting Hey Arnold.
I will vote. This is actually probably the hardest one I've had to vote for so far. I thought it was going to be The Simpsons and King of the Hill. I would say Hey Arnold is probably the show on this list I would be most excited to show my daughter. But I would say the Batman animated series from the 90s is probably I think the best, not including the comics because I don't really know about that, but the best iteration of the Batman in general, including, the Dark Knight Rises, like that,
can't be mad
the
at
Nolan series,
that. You can't be mad at that at all.
yeah, it seems crazy to say, but I think by far it's the best Batman. So I'm going to vote for Batman. Batman!
Batman, so good. Score update, Bears are losing 26. All right, Tom.
Oh, fuck.
Oh god.
Good.
So
Trubisky!
I'm in the same boat as Dave, actually. I did not watch a lot of the Batman animated series growing up. So, I mean, again, I'm not going to, beat a dead horse. Pretty much Dave kind of summed up what I was going to actually allude to and mention. But in even knowing that I'm actually going to go with Hey Arnold in my vote, I just think overall, and again, it's a little bit of personal preference and maybe some bias as well, but I overall think that was a more a better show in my eyes, and I just think overall it was edges it out a little bit. So I'm gonna call the tiebreaker to occur.
All right. Who's asking?
Uh,
I don't
I
have
could
a
ask.
wife nearby.
I could ask. I'll be right back.
Sounds good. We could discuss this further, Dave, with just slandering the Simpsons still.
Oh,
Oh my god.
Do you want me to talk about Kingdom Hill more? I
No,
can't.
no, I was joking.
No.
I'm sorry. I opened Pandora's box.
It sucks because as much as I do want to win, I love Batman.
It's-
And I love the fuck out of that show. I watched every single episode front to back consistently. And it's also one of my dad's favorite shows that I watched as a kid. Actually, my dad watched two of these shows, Space Ghost Coast to Coast and Batman the Animated Series. Like when I was young, he would sit down with me and we would watch Batman. It was great.
It's so good. Batman came out when we were real young, so like I didn't like it as a little kid, and then I came back to it and I was like, oh my god. Still in the 90s, like I was maybe 8 or 9. I was like, this is incredible.
So
Okay.
M Dog says Batman.
Oh,
Batman. I mean,
is Hey Arnold on any streaming service?
I don't
It
think
might
so.
be on.
Hulu,
I was gonna
it is on
say.
Hulu.
maybe.
Oh crap! What's that
I
one
want to
that
say
has,
it used to be on something.
It was on Netflix at
It
one
might be on
time.
Verve. VRV.
Verve. Okay, all right.
They have a lot of Nickelodeon shows on there, I think, so it
So-
might be on there.
New sponsor, Verve.
They sponsor
Use
YouTubers.
double check.
use promo code Bracket Up for.
I have a.
I was just talking about this yesterday. I went out to dinner with people, and somebody's like, "Oh, are you making money on the podcast?" I'm like, "No, but you know, I'm just waiting."
Somebody
for...
asked me that same question today.
I was
I
like,
mean, I'm
yeah.
making money. I just haven't shared it with you guys.
Yeah. I was just like, "Oh,
Clean
I'm
and
just
white.
waiting for that mobile phone game just to contact me. All you need is like 10 listeners, and there's Raid Shadow Legends.
There's
Oh,
not,
here's my promo code."
no Hey Arnold on Verve. I
Damn.
thought there was.
All right, guess I got to go to the library.
It's definitely worth watching as an adult. It's good. It's still good.
I think they might have removed Nickelodeon from Verve, so that might be why.
I'm
So-
looking at all these shows. I don't think there's a show on here as an adult I wouldn't watch.
Nice.
Of the 6 shows we have,
Yeah, I would watch
Oh, yeah.
all of them right now.
they're all great.
To be fair, 3 of them, though, are made for adults.
Yeah.
Well, 4, you could kind of throw Rocco in there a little bit. But
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our final matchup with a new entrant. Bill, you've got Space Ghost Coast to Coast up against the Simpsons, but Bill, you've got the floor.
All right. So this might be a unconventional choice, picking Space Ghost Coast to Coast, but I think I kind of wanted to go the route of it's. Now I know this is kind of hard to argue against since it's coming up against the Simpsons, but I'm going to say it's one of the most influential on this list for a lot of reasons. This was the first original program by Cartoon Network, bar none. It was their first one. Came out in
wow.
1994. It is based on the Hanna-Barbera cartoon Space Ghost.
Really?
Yeah.
yeah,
It's also
I know.
basically they reused a bunch of animation for the show.
It's a budget saving technique.
And there was nothing like that coming into, this show.
Mhm.
It's completely original. The Simpsons, I mean, that's based off of a lot of sitcoms that kind of came before it. Same with King of the Hill. Hey Arnold and Rocko's Modern Life had their, precursors as well. Batman is based off of Batman, the animated, the comics.
Batman is
assume.
Batman.
So, basically, if Space Ghost Coast to Coast wasn't a hit, I don't think Adult Swim ever would have really caught on, or it would look massively different in as far as adult animation or like teenage stoner animation goes, because that's what it is.
Mhm.
That's kind of my opening.
Before I say anything, Bill, I want to say is I am very happy you picked Space Ghost. What a great pick. I love
you.
it.
I originally had Johnny Bravo, which is also a great show,
Also fantastic.
but I had a harder time coming up with like an argument as to why it was the best. But I could do a pretty good job. So,
And you're completely right in saying that there's no Adult Swim without Space Ghost.
right.
But also for my own nerdy pleasure, not the first original Cartoon Network animation.
Yes.
There's a lost show called Moxie, the Moxie Show.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, one that like
that people care
really
about.
lasted 2 episodes.
I just had to say that because
I believe you.
I want to be a dweeb.
That's what Wikipedia told me, and so hashtag ban Wikipedia. Don't ever donate to them. They're worth now.
To be fair, Moxie Show is a show in terms of like it was sort of bumpers that were longer, like 10-minute bumpers. So Space Ghost is technically the first original series.
Okay, maybe
But- Yeah. Fun fact has nothing to do with this argument, but I thought that was funny.
Oh.
Now you
Taking
said
me apart. Oh God.
no. I just thought that was funny.
Welcome to my world.
Space Ghost is you said it's the most unique, and it is in terms of it's part animation, part of live action. But at the end of the day, it is based on
Talk shows.
which it changed the game in its
There was no talk
execution
show
of it.
quite like this.
Yeah, but then
But you could say the
you
same thing
said
with
the
The Simpsons.
yeah.
enough. Fair enough.
My argument then is the Simpsons completely
Oh,
changed the
God.
whole sitcom
Oh.
situation.
Oh no.
Also, Space Ghost animation. I mean,
Fantastic.
it's a lot of recycled, reused from the '60s.
Yeah, that's the point. It was because they didn't have a budget. The editor literally, he would edit in a supply closet with a copy machine next to him.
Yeah, but I mean,
They had nothing, and they built up an entire,
it's cool.
basically channel, because I consider Adult Swim almost its own channel.
Yeah, but you
From
could
that
also
one show.
argue Space Ghost Coast to Coast paved the way, but the big breakout might have been Cartoon Planet, which was just Space Ghost Coast to Coast as a variety show.
Yeah, I
sort
mean
of
that.
thing.
That's true. I kind of consider them the same, but I'm going to focus on Coast to Coast because that's what came first.
Yes.
I
I don't think it's as revolutionary as The Simpsons. I think
agree to disagree because without Space Coast, you wouldn't have your favorite show of all time, Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
fucking great show.
Yeah,
not on this list.
It launched the career of Rob Thomas, who was the main creator behind Veronica Mars, which is a fantastic show.
I mean, it launched a whole network's ability to create
Original,
original content.
dirt cheap content. Yeah.
We wouldn't have home movies, which means we might not have
home
Bob's
movies.
Burgers.
Wait, Home Movies I think
Matchbox
was on another network and
Or
came to
Matchbox
Adult
20.
Swim. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
I only know it from Adult Swim, so.
Well,
But
that's the thing.
some of the
Adult
people.
Here's the argument that Bill could make, and this could affect me.
Sorry,
With-
hold on.
with-
Also, C-Lab, which then also Archer then, so.
Yeah,
Yes.
but the whole argument you can make is Family Guy ain't airing today without Adult Swim. Futurama doesn't get a reboot without Adult Swim.
Mhm.
Shows
And that's-
like The Oblongs and
Yeah.
Home Movies don't get seen without
I'm
Adult
glad you're
Swim.
seeing it my way.
I mean,
Without Space Ghost being such a hit, you wouldn't have all that. They interviewed the way they did the interviews was actually really interesting also. They hired a theater major to dress up as Space Ghost and interview the celebrity in person, at least for the first few seasons.
Yeah.
And then they would cut and re-edit the questions so that doesn't really match the answers the celebrity gives. And it's so awkward and uncomfortable. And also, Eric Andre, his biggest influence is Space Ghost.
I was just going to say, that sounds very similar to what Eric Andre does.
I mean,
Yes.
I'm going to be honest. I'm arguing more for Space Ghost, even
You
though I think
are.
I
Simpsons
was
is a
about to
better
say, this
show.
is.
I
I'm
will
just
say,
super fucking excited to talk about Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
It's a
It's
good
so good.
But now let me talk about The Simpsons. Ned Flanders, great character. Left-handed. Not me, though. Haha, tricked you. Put
No,
that
that-
in the Wikipedia for Bracket Up.
I
The
mean,
Wikipedia.
in all honesty, The Simpsons is just if you're talking about the
Yeah.
best show in the 90s, it changed the game. It changed so much for television as a whole.
Well,
You could
changing for
you could say
television
there's
as a
no
whole.
adult animation doesn't get the light of day without Simpsons.
What do you mean by
paving the way.
adult animation?
But you don't get the teenage
there-
stoner animation without
there
Space
isn't-
Ghost.
Adult animation wasn't really thought of as a thing. Cartoons were always thought of for kids. It's the Simpsons that kind of normalized the idea of it. I'm not saying they're the first,
And
but
then
it
Space
normalized it, and then
Ghost
you
really
start
took it to
seeing
a
them.
new, more
You start
mature
seeing it become
concept.
more of a normal thing. So
There's a little movie called Akira that I believe was an adult animation.
I said popularized it, Dave. Tell me about your JoJo stands.
I will if you want me to.
Please don't.
But that's basically my yeah.
Look, I'm just
You go
happy
into
to.
some episodes that I really liked.
Look, I could talk
For
fucking
moments.
Space Ghost all day. I watched that shit as a kid. I didn't know what the hell I was really watching. I also watched Jay Leno as a kid, but it was
I'm
just
gonna
it's
say-
interesting.
Something that
sorry
I
for
think
you.
Andy Jerrick would appreciate. Space Ghost Grandpa in the show was voiced by Macho Man Randy Savage,
Jesus
who
Christ.
was Space Ghost but with a beard.
Ooh, yeah, brother.
And there's a
Yes.
a clip of him interviewing Raven Simone, who was like about 11 years old at the time, and it's horrifying.
his interviews are great because it has that like what you see with Eric Andre now. Just it's very awkward.
It's very
so
awkward. It's
Also-
edited in a way that doesn't quite make sense. And there's pauses
Yeah.
and like uncomfortableness that kind of seeps in. I will say, I watched the show as a kid. I didn't understand like half of it, but
Oh, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
transfixed. I felt like I was watching something I couldn't watch.
I would watch this show when I was like sick and couldn't go to sleep, and so I would
It's
just
like a
turn on
fever
Cartoon
dream.
Network,
Yeah,
expecting normal Cartoon Network, but I'd have Space Ghost.
right.
Also,
just
no
watch
love
this
for
with my
Zorak
dad
and
all the time.
Moltar.
Oh yeah, Zorak. Great
Zork was
character.
hilarious.
Brack, great character.
Brack's not
Without
on Space
Space,
Ghost.
yeah, and without
Cartoon
Space
Network.
He was
Ghost Coast to
introduced-
Coast, you didn't
he
have
was-
the Brack Show.
Yeah, he was introduced, but then
We don't
Yeah.
need to talk about the Brack show.
I like the Brack Show.
I like the Brack show.
That show's not bad.
Brack Show was fun.
Look, I could talk Space Ghost all day. It's great. I just
Win his argument for him.
the argument though is it doesn't compete with what Simpsons brings to the table for the decade of the 90s. We're talking the decade of the 90s.
Space Ghost fits very neatly into the 90s.
Yeah, very neatly as
Very
just
neatly.
a piece of the 90s. It's not revolutionary of the
I would
90s.
say it's revolutionary because it spawned so many of the
we're comparing it though to the Simpsons.
fair.
How long
Very
did Space
different than
Ghost
the Simpsons.
run?
That doesn't detract from Space Ghost, though.
No, it
Because it's
doesn't.
up against
But
The
we're
Simpsons.
comparing the two, and if you're comparing the
It's
two,
a hard show. There are two shows that are hard to compare.
yeah, and
There's
both
an
are
episode with
wonderful.
Conan when I think he was probably working on The Simpsons. That
Yeah,
was pretty great.
probably talking about the Simpsons.
Yeah. And then Space Ghost spontaneously combusts during it because he's mad because Conan's just making fun of him. Another great episode. The show also kind of helped launch Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
Mhm.
But there's an episode called Pilot where it's kind of a play on the Jay Leno, David Letterman wars of I think the 80s or the 90s, where the Space Ghost show was originally pitched by Harvey Birdman, and it's showing him as like the host, and he's doing a god awful job, and he's talking to the I don't remember what celebrity it is, but he's like, man, if this doesn't go well, I think my wife's gonna leave me. I'm broke.
Yeah,
And it's just funny.
I love it. I mean, look. Also, if I got to argue, The Simpsons, it brings more to the table also in terms of content. Like, you get very funny to very meaningful, heartfelt, memorable moments. I don't see people talking about memorable Space Ghost moments as a whole. I mean, since The Simpsons,
You could also say The Simpsons, they really gave us such great influences like Family Guy and The Cleveland Show.
The Cleveland Show.
to be fair, Family Guy's first 3 seasons, very good, until Adult Swim got it a revival. Thanks, Space Ghost.
I'm going to blame Fox for canceling it. That's what I'm going to blame.
Let it stay dead, though.
I mean, obviously,
when they
is a great show.
When they revived it, though, you didn't know what was to come. If you were to revive it from those first 3 seasons, you'd think it'd be a good idea. It's just
Yeah, I know the future though now, and I've seen what it becomes. Anyone got any questions for us? We're not really debating; we're just reminiscing.
Yeah,
How long would Space Ghost run for?
I think 94 to maybe the early. There's 11 seasons.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And
I didn't know it was that long.
And the seasons are like weird lengths too, aren't like some real long and some real short.
Yeah, I could look it up because I thought it was 1997, but that doesn't seem right.
No, it's older. It's like 95.
No, I meant when it started, it was 94. But I thought it ended in 1997.
No, I think it went into the 2000s a little bit.
Probably right. No, the final episode date was 1999.
Ooh.
But yeah, 11 seasons. Although I think 2 of them were maybe not on Adult Swim, or I think 2 of them were online.
Okay. Fun fact: you were gonna do Johnny Bravo as your original one.
Yes.
Little known fact: he had a short-lived talk show. You can't find clips of it. It like doesn't really. It's like a lost show.
Really?
But he did a talk show, like as bumpers, kind of like that Moxie thing I was saying.
Yeah.
And introducing shows, and he had like conversations with characters from Dragon Ball Z and stuff. Really weird.
Bring back Johnny Bravo in any format. I did find this out. There was a movie in 2011 where Johnny Bravo goes to Bollywood, but it's
Oh yeah, okay, never mind.
It's an Indian movie.
Yes.
I don't even think it came out in America. But it's Johnny. Apparently, India loves Johnny Bravo, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any more questions?
I'm ready to vote.
Okay.
Yeah, I am as well.
All right.
Simpsons.
Oh well.
All right.
That's a juggernaut.
I'm also with Simpsons on my side.
Yeah, make it
Sorry.
3.
Oh shit!
I'm sorry.
I thought Macho Man Randy Savage was going to sell you.
Bret Hart was in an episode of The Simpsons, though.
I'm gonna go with Space Ghost
Hulk Hogan was in Space
for
Ghost.
nostalgia.
Oh, thank you.
Julian didn't watch enough Simpsons, is what I'm hearing.
I'm saying that's the
Space
thing.
Ghost.
I watched Space Ghost with my dad a lot, and he loved that show.
It's so good. Space Ghost is so good.
Is
it's
it
criminally
on
underrated.
to stream?
It's all on YouTube. You can watch it
Okay.
on YouTube.
Everyone
all right,
make an effort to watch Space Ghost and Hey Arnold.
Wasn't Coolio on an episode of Space Ghost? I remember Coolio.
I think so.
I think he
know.
was.
I forgot to mention, there's a scene with Ice-T where I think Zorak asks him, he hypnotizes Ice-T into bringing him hot bitches.
What did Coolio have to say? He has
I
2
don't
hits.
remember.
One of them's Gangster's Paradise. The other is the theme song to Keenan and Kel.
Yeah,
Honestly-
the greatest songs of our generation.
I feel like Coolio just got put on by like a more famous rapper, and he has had 2 hit songs, and then he fizzled out because of drugs. He was dope though.
Well, Gangster's
He's
Paradise is a
definitely-
great song.
It's a great song. It's a good album, but like he just I don't know why we're talking about this, but anyways, yeah.
This is now a Coolio podcast.
I want to let you know I'm suppressing a JoJo thing.
Oh, God.
Is Coolio in
Is
JoJo?
Coolio on JoJo?
No, but they should have used Gangsters in Paradise for the ending theme of the most
Gangster's
recent part.
Paradise.
Yeah, sorry. They should have used that as the ending theme, but they didn't. That was my JoJo thing I suppressed.
Any other JoJo things that we have to talk about?
No, we good.
All right, you sure? All right.
All right, so we're at the finals here, and it's Simpsons. Andy Mysucks The Simpsons against my Batman, the animated series.
The Battle of the Andes.
Battle of the Andes. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
The Bandy.
I love Batman, the animated series, too.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal, and I also love The Simpsons.
The problem with Batman, though, that Julian touched on is it has a weird balance to it. and you could say it happens in the comics, but I mean, as far as the show goes, it's got weird campiness where it might not fit in some areas, and it's got, yeah, I mean, there's never a bad time for seriousness in Batman. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it felt a little weird, and they had some weird episodes too where they had like the guy who killed Batman, but he really didn't kill Batman.
Yeah, it was just like a third-rate criminal, not like a supervillain or anything.
Yeah, stupid. I guess you could say the same thing about The Simpsons, though. There's plenty of stupid Simpsons, but I don't know. God, Batman was so good. And I can't use the argument, well, Simpsons is so influential. Yeah, so is Batman, the animated series.
It's just influential it's influencing different things.
Yeah.
Between the two. Let's see. More good things about Batman. I guess, I mean, similar to The Simpsons, they focus on their side characters a lot. Again, the villains are sometimes the best part to learn more about the villains. There's a Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn kind of Thelma and Louise style episode where they're just kind of doing their own thing for much of it. And I like that there's sometimes a focus just on villains. There's the Almost Got Him episode where
one of the
handful
best
of villains are sitting around playing poker and they're all explaining as to like this one time they almost got Batman but didn't quite do it because he pulled, something out of his utility belt or, did
that
something
one ends
smart.
really stupid.
It does end stupid.
Yeah.
If Batman's there,
I
it's like
love
He's
the
there the
ending.
whole
I mean, he
time.
needs some. That's so funny. He's like, I'm gonna listen to all these awesome stories about me, and beat the shit out
And I don't like how they animated his reveal, because wasn't he like Killer Croc the whole time, but like then suddenly a light flashes over him and then it's the silhouette of Batman going back to Killer Croc. That shit didn't make sense to me.
Oh,
And
I thought he like took a mask off. But
No, he didn't. I thought at first it was cool when like they would have his shadow in the background and then that's the Batman silhouette, but then they kept doing it, especially in parts where it did make sense, that being one of them.
And also, if I'm going to say something bad about Batman, the animated series, that fourth season that I didn't really watch a lot, the Batman and Robin, they really cut some corners on the animation. Like, real ugly Joker redesign. Like, real ugly. I don't remember much of it, and that might be a bad thing because I remember a lot of the other 3 seasons. So if we're talking about Simpsons tailing off after 10 seasons, Batman started tailing off after 4 or 3.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like Batman aged a bit better though.
Oh, go back and watch some old Simpsons.
I feel like
so
it aged
good.
a little bit better.
You
Go
haven't
back to
watched
your-
it.
To go back to your camp thing, I don't think that should be a negative against Batman because,
Probably not.
I mean, you got Adam West Batman. Like, if you're going to adapt Batman, you might as well, and you want to do it in like a general, all-encompassing way that I feel like the animated series is, you have to include a little bit of camp, I think, to,
I suppose so.
call back to the
I mean, if
campiness
you-
of the comics or this, Adam West Batman.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be that campy because sometimes it just felt out of place. That's what I'm saying. Because like the old Adam West, it was meant to be campy because it was more so of a comedy than it was anything else. But when they rebooted Batman, it was it came like a year after the Batman movie with Michael Keaton. That's the one with who directed it? Same dude
Tim
directed
Burton.
Nightmare Before.
Tim
Yeah,
Burton.
Tim Burton. It was meant to be more serious. It was meant to be kind of gritty and stuff like that. But
I'd
there were
go
just
even-
points where it was just weird.
I'd go
The
even further
campiness.
in saying the campy 60s Batman is the outlier in all of Batman's history. But if you're looking even starting in the early 80s, there was like a whole shift in how Batman and really comics as a whole were viewed as more, they're trying to be more serious, more,
Have you seen the Bratman Brave and the Bold cartoon?
nope.
That's very
Oh,
campy.
wow.
Very, very campy.
And
Like,
I'm
great.
not saying
Also-
campy.
Also, just to say, Space Ghost makes an appearance.
I think my
He
point was more
does.
that I view the Batman animated series as like the general Batman at this point, and so a little bit of
Probably.
camp. I feel like.
And I guess my argument isn't campy being bad, but campy in weird places. I mean, Julian used the first episode as an example. I mean, in that same episode, they had to like address like who Batman is. It's like, oh, my parents were shot as a child.
Yeah, it's true.
And
Like,
it's
it
kind
would
of
go-
like juxtaposing against fighting a man-bat, and he's the Batman. Like a little like, but your
you
parents just
Yeah.
shot.
In
And
the
it was
comics, you
also-
got Pirate Batman.
Hey, look,
It's
I
true.
get it. For
For me, it was just weird because it was just like, how do we go from like such seriousness to like
Yeah.
he's being all extra? If this man is lying, he's not telling the truth, to the Joker escaping prison on a giant Christmas tree.
I mean,
That was just
That's
like
a pretty
what?
Joker thing to do.
Yeah, it is a Joker thing to do, but to me, it was just like, all right, this doesn't. I don't get it.
I don't mind the campiness from, say, Joker. It's when it's Batman or surrounding Batman where I'm like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing, Dark Knight?
I
Your
have
parents were shot in an alley right in front of you. But I guess you can make the argument like this man dresses as a bat and runs around the city because his parents were shot in an alley. So, I mean,
that's where we would all be.
Yeah.
maybe a moot point, but it's not really much bad to say about Batman.
Question. If you guys had to reboot, I know The Simpsons are still going on, but let's pretend like it was canceled
Should have been.
2005.
Should have been.
How would you guys reboot it for like a Netflix series? Netflix, friend of the pod, sponsor.
I'll go first. I wouldn't reboot it. You don't need to reboot The Simpsons from the 90s because it's timeless.
Well, there goes my fun question.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think you could. Like, I agree with Andy there.
The 90s Simpsons is timeless in how it presents itself. I'd be
I would
scared
just
they'd
include
root it in
Space
technology.
I would include Space Ghost in the family, but all the things, and he's just commenting on the show. See, there's always an answer. There's always an answer.
It's like you're watching a reaction channel, but it's Space Ghost.
They
Actually,
should
that's
do
how
that.
they should bring.
I would
Space
watch
Ghost
that.
back.
I'd
Yeah.
watch the hell out of that.
The best way to reboot The Simpsons is to go back in time and just end it in like 2005 and call it a day.
Okay, that's fair. Andy,
I feel like, does anyone watch Gotham here? I know Andy
No.
watches Gotham.
I've seen Gotham.
Yeah, I got them.
I
I
did
think
not.
there's some
First two
really,
seasons.
I think there's some good aspects to it.
Mhm.
I think I watched the first season and maybe part of the second and third, and then it just got,
yeah,
like the world got too big. I kind of feel like, and then there were so many different little like cliques of mobsters and crime bosses that I couldn't keep them all fucking straight. So I would, I don't know. I'd kind of start with something like more Bruce Wayne based. Let's learn more about Bruce Wayne and his detective abilities. I know they do a pretty decent job in animated series of using those detective abilities, even if it is just throwing stuff into the Bat computer and letting the Bat computer like carry the load. But it's better than him just pummeling people like nonstop, like it seems like a lot of the movies are doing. I mean, I don't know. Make him a former cop. You know, somebody who when his parents get killed, he wants to be a law enforcement officer and fight crime the right way. And then maybe he realizes that's not the best way to do things. I don't know. There's been so many retellings of Batman that it's probably been done
Too
before
many.
by somebody.
Uh,
It could
I'll
never be
s-
too many, but I don't know.
I'll,
It could be interesting. Go ahead.
I'll
watch
say
it.
that I like that you brought up Gotham because one thing that Gotham does, and it's because of where it takes place, is you kind of get a backstory for a lot of the villains. They don't have to be good in Gotham because not all of them are good in Gotham, but you get some sort of a backstory.
I want.
And I'd like to see the animated series do that because when they did with like Mr. Freeze, boy, did they do a fucking good job.
Yeah,
I
they
would
just
like
didn't
to
have as
see
much
that.
time. They have 22 minutes, not 44.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
That makes a difference.
they did it though with Mr. Freeze in the animated series. I'd like to see
Yeah.
what they could have done with other characters and kind of bring them into the story that way. Because
Well, would you want to make it like a PG version, like, or would you want to make it
We
PG?
call it good and
rated
Gotham.
R? Like,
what was Mr. Freeze's? That was a PG version, and it's so good that now Batman series use that. Why didn't they do more of that? They created Harley Quinn, and you eventually get a backstory, and that's pretty good. But most of the time Batman's like, oh, there's my mortal enemy. It's like, he's been your mortal enemy for how long? And I mean, his rogues gallery is great, but I mean, if that's what makes Batman so great, why not try and improve upon it? You've already proven you can do it well. Do it more.
What was the Riddler like in the animated series?
The same as the Riddler is any series. He's just a dude who thinks he's smarter than Batman and is hell bent on proving it by doing
got a lot of-
stupid ass riddles.
Got question marks on his body.
Riddler in
Pretty
Gotham,
much.
though, is probably the best backstory for a villain.
I'm excited for the Robert Pattinson Batman.
I actually think he could do a good job.
I agree.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that they don't hide the makeup thing like in the Tim Burton movie where they were afraid of showing Bruce Wayne with the makeup around his eyes.
Batman Returns. You just see Michael Keaton rip off
literally-
his cowl.
They literally would have him pull up his head, his cowl, and then suddenly the makeup around his eyes was gone because they didn't want to.
That's
They
what
were
they
afraid
did
of that.
in Batman Returns, where he had the makeup around his eyes. He pulls off his sit. Selena,
Uh-huh.
we're cut right down the center. No sign of makeup, whatever.
Any other questions before we vote?
Not on my side.
What would you? Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
In all honesty, it is a Saturday night, and you have one of two choices. What are you watching?
Simpsons. I'm
Simpsons.
not even thinking twice about it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
I watched The Simpsons all the fucking
I would
time.
have said the Batman for Saturday night. Sunday morning, it's The Simpsons.
Simpsons.
Simpsons is like a weekday thing to me, but if I had to choose between the two,
Yeah,
I'd
like
probably
weekday
watch
after
Good.
school would be Simpsons.
Yeah,
I'd watch
Saturday
Simpsons
night.
all day, every day.
Sunday
Saturday
night. Also.
night, baby.
That's when they aired new episodes, right? Sunday nights.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, for me,
Batman.
it's Batman, honestly.
So are we vote? Are we vote? Or was that the vote, or are we voting?
Yes, that's
My
the vote.
vote.
I'm voting
That's my
Batman.
Wait,
I'm gonna
you're
go Batman too.
Dave. What are
no,
you?
I'm Simpsons.
Tom.
I'm The Simpsons.
Uh-oh.
Wow, this ends in a tie.
Oh.
Let's end the video. They could both win.
I just, for the sake of my shirt, I want Batman to win.
Batman was so good. It was good.
Who's breaking it?
I
Have
don't.
to be,
I'll be honest. Kelly hasn't seen either of these shows, even if I texted her. I showed her like 3 episodes of Simpsons. She's like, "Yeah, it's funny." I'm like, it's funny.
Meredith
I-
has
the
never
fuck?
seen The Simpsons, so I can't.
I could go ask Martha because she's in the other room. Hang
Has
on.
she seen both of these?
Yes, she has.
Oh, she's
Cool.
gonna pick Batman because of your damn
Bum, bum,
shirt.
Take-
Which
first
do you
take-
like more?
Julian, first take the shirt off.
Oh,
Go
God.
in shirtless,
Give us a
Julian. That's the
show.
only way.
It's the only way to be fair. Is it off?
Right, we'll mute Julian and we'll discuss. We'll just take his vote away. Simpsons win. God, I liked every show on this bracket so much.
Oh,
pretty good.
I didn't want to talk bad about any of them. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, well, you're the only one you did talk bad about.
You were the one though.
you
Like,
guys came at each other
You
like
you
hungry,
interrupted me while I was trying
hungry
to talk.
dogs.
good.
Yeah, but I
You
think that's just
interrupted
one of
me
Andy's.
after I interrupted you.
I think that's just Andy's personality trait.
Yeah, so
He
you
didn't
got a
anyone
problem?
else?
Okay.
All right, what do we
Maybe
got,
because I
Julian?
made you realize.
Oh, yeah. It was absolutely no contest. She took no time in saying The Simpsons.
Okay.
It was immediate.
Very worthy.
Understandable.
Julian, maybe you should watch The Simpsons now. That means
No.
I didn't write it down, but I figured Simpsons was going to win this.
Yeah,
I
same.
I figured Simpsons was going to
I
win.
didn't
too.
want to
Yeah,
pick The
same.
Simpsons because of that. I should
I
have picked my original, which was
Well, you didn't even
Animaniacs.
consider it until I mentioned, like, hey, 90s Simpsons, if we're using that qualifier.
It's been so
Dave,
long
you dug
since
your own grave.
Man.
Yeah.
I was
Also,
really
if-
thinking Space Ghost had a chance.
No.
I'm
No.
so happy Space Ghost was on the bracket, Bill.
Like, I didn't even think of a runner-up because it was Simpsons.
I actually thought if anyone was gonna beat The Simpsons, it was Batman.
That's kind of how I picked it.
Batman was so good.
That was going to be that was the very first one I thought, and when I went to the Google sheet, Andy had already picked
I'm
it. and I
sorry,
was
Bill.
like,
Also, if we can backtrack just a little bit. Hey, Tom, are you still there? You still there, bud?
I'm still here.
I love you, man. I know I just felt so bad. I was like, damn, he didn't even say anything to clap back. I'm sorry.
Dave, thank you for clapping back. I like that. I like some fight.
Well, I also really don't agree with some of the things you said about The Simpsons.
That's fair. I don't care. I like the fight.
I mean, The Simpsons won.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah, it
argument
is a tough-
specifically.
That's true. His anger propelled
This
the
is a tough
Simpsons.
fight for me.
Honestly, after we get off this, Dave is probably going to sit here like, they should be King of the Hill. You come up
Hey,
with a
No, again, I thought
whole
Simpsons was going to win.
essay why King of the Hill should have won. And he's going to bring it over to Andy's house talking about
I
this
just,
is
you know,
why.
King of the Hill's underappreciated.
I don't think Dave and I will ever
This is
talk
why.
about it again.
Oh, we'll talk about King of the Hill again in Simpsons.
Oh, I
again,
know
for
you
sure.
will.
Just
You know-
in normal conversation. Like, man,
And-
didn't the Simpsons go downhill? And we'll both be sad together.
Remember when they did the all day the every Simpsons ever marathon and we stopped?
Yeah,
we
that
were
was
watching
so
it
good.
and stopped watching
Yeah.
it like season 10.
Yeah.
All right.
So good.
All right, guys. I think that's going to do it. That took about 2 hours, which I guess is we had 5 arguments. Took 2 hours.
How did this
Awesome.
take 2 hours?
Well, it
It
started
always
with
does.
arguments and then just started reminiscing about
Yeah, it
Batman
really
and
was.
Space Ghost in round 2.
Really thought this one was going to be quicker.
This will be better than the Crayon one, though.
Oh god.
That's a classic.
I might refuse to even promote it on our own bracket up.
Okay.
Pretty bad. My baby's crying through half of it.
That's okay.
Little cornflower.
All right. So as everyone
That's
can
cute.
see, Simpsons, the best 90s cartoon. But if you haven't seen anything on this list, I would recommend checking out every single one. I think everyone else on this podcast would agree with me.
Is there
Mhm.
one that you would recommend to everybody? If you had to pick one on this list.
Hey, Arnold.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm most interested in that I haven't seen before.
I'm going to say Space Ghost. God, I'm so happy that was brought up today.
I would say Hey Arnold's probably my favorite on the list.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that.
I'm not going to say it because it's the one I was arguing for, but honestly, as I said, King of the Hill is underappreciated. So
Yeah.
check
That would be
one
my
out.
number 2 for sure that
Yeah.
I would recommend.
That is, I do love King of the Hill.
King of the
and
Hill's
to
great.
this day, Space Ghost gets no love. So good.
It's great.
Oh, everyone should watch it. It's probably harder to watch though than the
Good
other
show.
ones. It's not as timeless.
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
like
it's very
they interview
overstuffed.
celebrities from the 90s. Like it's
Yeah.
not relevant today.
So funny though.
Yeah, it's great.
So
Okay.
lastly, you guys can follow us on Twitter at @bracket_up. You can follow us on Instagram at @bracket_up_podcast. And we're also on Spotify, Apple, iTunes Music. And isn't there one or two more? I might be forgetting.
Anchor, YouTube.
One. Sure.
Uh,
Okay, the usuals.
Yeah.
The usual.
Yeah. Our Instagram is a hoot. It's a hoot and a holler, and I'm laughing a ton whenever something new shows up because I don't expect it. It's
Yeah.
good stuff.
Our social media guy kills it. Don't you, Bill?
Don't you white shoes.
That's not me.
Oh, you're so good. Don't just take the damn credit.
No, we do it all
really
together as a friend
think-
group.
I really think Bill should have his his caption is clean and white. I feel that every time.
I feel like that could come back to bite me.
It already has. I'm never gonna let you live this down. Bill Johnson, clean and white.
Ooh.
All right. For King Julian Griffin, Greek Lightning Tom Kairos, the Big Bear Dave Holloway, Andy, the best name Mysek, and Billy White Shoes Clean and White Johnson. I'm Handy Dandy Andy Jerrick. This has been Bracket Up. We hope you had a great time, and we'll see you soon.